Now going to pass on first down. Down the sideline, he's got a man. Amari Terry. Terry's got a step. Terry brought down inside the 5 by A.J. McCourty.
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
They give it to him. He turns, leans, and it's Bad Brad Roberts for another touchdown.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
He gets the call again, over the right side, touchdown, Air Force.
Sikkim 365 Radio is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Fake to Roberts. He's going to throw to the end zone. He's got a big touchdown. Caleb Rillos, the tight end, with a touchdown for the Falcons.
Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube. Brought to you by TFNB, your bank for life.
Shapen rolls out of the pocket through the end zone. Touchdown, Presley.
Now here's David Smoak.
And yes, flying solo today. In a way, my co-pilot is Garrett Ross, who's running the mothership right behind the scenes. And, of course, we have an incredible support group. But after last night, I think everybody needed a break from this show. So I said, you know what? Let's do 3 hours of therapy. If you're a Baylor fan, or maybe somebody else if you're a fan elsewhere. We do have some interesting guests today. G.J. Kinne, the new football coach at Texas State, at 3:30. After he had he did a great job at Incarnate Word before they lost to North Dakota State. At 4 o'clock, new North Texas football coach Eric Morris, who was at Washington State, played at Texas Tech. And he was an Incarnate Word head coach. He'll join us today at 4. J.J. Joe, former Baylor quarterback and Baylor radio color analyst. He was like in the booth next to us, or 2-1-2 down, watching last night. His thoughts as Baylor hits the offseason, and my goodness, that might be the best part about last night's game ending. Win, lose, or whatever, is they're into the offseason and no more games for them for the next 9 months. And Dominic Richardson, the transfer running back out of Oklahoma State, will join us today at around 5 o'clock. I want to start with this, and Garrett's going to be on with me on and off, and we're going to try to get to the chat room as much as we can. And a lot of you, again, have already hit us up, and we appreciate you for that. The text line is 254-339-1122. Before we get into the carnage, before we get into the autopsy of the 2022 Baylor football season, we will have some comments from Dave Aranda in last night's postgame. If you were at the game last night, if you were inside Amon Carter Stadium, God bless you. You earned, like I put out a tweet to Santa Claus, that anyone there, anybody there, Baylor fan, Air Force fan, whoever was there, you deserve an extra Christmas gift under the tree. It was brutal. I have been in games that were very, very cold, not me personally as far as playing. I've played in the snow before in football, and I had the 2013 Baylor-Texas game was brutally cold. The shutdown, Floyd Casey and Baylor won the Big 12, beating UT, sent Mack Brown into retirement, at least at the time. I've been to a couple other games that were cold. This was different. This was like, and I'm not kidding, this was like Lambeau Field type weather. At one point, I think the wind chill got to -9. The temperature, I don't believe, ever got above like 12 or 13, 14 last night. And Craig and I, when we were leaving the stadium, because he and I went down to the postgame press conference, And Paul and Jacob and everyone else was upstairs doing our post-game show. Garrett was here helping run it. From the time we left where the press conference was, inside where the athletics department is at Baylor, to walking to my car and Craig getting to his car, and I had gloves on, and I had a beanie on, and I had a puffer jacket on, and I had stuff underneath of it on. My ears, I couldn't feel them. I could not feel my ears, and my face was bloodshot red. And so if you were in the stadium, I know sometimes Baylor fans get a bad rap for this. I'm telling you right now, it's amazing if you were there. And there was a pretty good crowd. It really was, considering the conditions. You deserve every bit of kudos, whatever the word might be, for being at that game last night. And there were a ton of people inside, and that, like, is the TCU club, whatever it is inside, that were coming in out of the cold from the Lowe's boxes or box seats or whatever. It was cold, as maybe cold as I have ever felt, and I'm not exaggerating. Thank God I was in the press box for 99% of that game.
I think one of the funniest things to me was even before the game started, you started to see pictures on Twitter circulate about people gathering in the bathrooms just trying to stay warm. And, then you see some of the pictures of Baylor fans out there shirtless. And it was really remarkable. And here in Waco, it really wasn't as cold as what y'all were dealing with. But, so I got to experience a little bit of it walking in and out and from the studio to the car and everything. But, man, sitting out in that seems like one of the most miserable things to do. Obviously, if the game would have been a little more exciting, it would have made it a little more tolerable, and you mentioned the Lambeau aspect. I think, that's cool to experience that. But, man, that was something that people will never forget. And hopefully we won't have to deal with any situation like that again going forward for the foreseeable future.
Well, and Craig said this, you get that game in your rival's stadium, that's enough to be kicked in the you-know-whats. Mm-hmm. Then you get that weather, and then you get blown out. You got beat up last night. Air Force Academy toyed with Baylor, and it was stunning that it was only 9-7 Falcons at halftime. And I'm like, it's 9-7, and Air Force Academy had dominated that game. Baylor got the pass interference late in the first half and then scored. So it was bad. There is nothing from last night's game. There were a couple of players you can point out that maybe they were playing hard, and I get that. But that's also why they're playing football and why they're on scholarship, and that's great. There were some that were their last game ever in maybe football ever. It was bad. It was dominant. The Air Force Academy, they don't throw the ball right. They threw the ball better than Baylor did as far as the average yards per attempt. And the quarterback on the quarterback draw once after another. 0 for 11 Baylor on third down. Blake Shapen just had it. You didn't think it could get much worse. It was. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's in Blake's head, if he got hurt at some point. I know he got knocked around quite a bit, and he did again last night. I know it was brutally cold. Easy for me to say I'm in the box, the press box. But you know what? That's part of your career in a way. So we'll get into the quarterback situation. J.J. Joe will join us at about 4:30 today to kind of look ahead because there's nobody left. I mean, you could always have walk-ons, and you could always get a transfer portal or two. And I brought this scenario up, and some of you didn't even think about this. We need to replace Shapen, and I know the quarterback always takes the hit. None of you that I remember, there might have been 5% of you back when Baylor made the decision at quarterback to move on with Blake Shapen, and then, of course, Gary Bohannon, a beloved player at Baylor football, moved on to USF. Those of you now questioning whether or not Shapen was the right decision, I didn't. My only concern about that time was how much are they losing when it comes to the heart and soul, the emotions and the leadership in that team. And, we asked the questions about Shapen and being able to lead the team, and you heard all the right things. There's a problem. The offense was very, very disappointing. The wide zone last night, Air Force ran for 50, 60, 70 yards. Baylor ran for 42 yards on 26 carries. It meant a lot to Air Force. You saw emotion at time from Baylor. But one of the things, Troy Calhoun, when they stopped Baylor on a fourth down, I think the game at the time might have been 7-0 or 6-0 or 9-0. The emotions from Troy Calhoun, the Air Force head coach on the sideline, been doing this for 16 years. You could see it. And that doesn't mean if your coach is emotional. I know you go, well, Dave Aranda doesn't show any emotions. You didn't bitch about that last year, right? Tony Dungy doesn't show emotion, right? Tom Landry didn't really show emotion. We've discussed that before, but somebody's got to create the energy. Last year, you had NFL-type players with 5- and 6-year players who created that type of energy. So was it a no-show? That's in the discussion, don't you think? Was it a no-show? I think that's in the discussion, no matter who was sent home. Knuckleheads, right? You got rules to abide by. How can you have that happen, especially if you still have a career to maybe play another year, 2 or 3 in college, and maybe if you have dreams to the next level? Siaka Ika opted out. Not a surprise. He's going to try to be a part of the NFL. He'll be drafted in the NFL. But some others that appeared, I had a former coach tell me this in a text message. This is not to try to throw everybody under the bus, but what it meant, what he said made sense to me. It appears as if this is a team with about 12 to 15 players that might be entering the transfer. This is not fact. This is an opinion. But based on how they were playing and being pushed around, that it appeared to him that this might be 12 to 15 coaches, 12 to 15 players, the way they were playing, that could be in the portal by the weekend. Now, he's not predicting that. He just felt the way they were playing that some guys had checked out. Maybe they just wanted to get home. Maybe they were sick and tired of being not very good. Maybe they were disappointed in losing and getting blown out by K-State, the devastating loss to TCU, and getting rolled in the fourth quarter by Texas.
I think at this point, man, like nobody should feel safe about their position. I think you need to come in and you need to have a clean slate and say everybody's going to have to earn their starting role. You need to see some fight from this team. There was really, and you really hate to see, I don't want to say necessarily a lack of leadership, because I know guys like Dylan Doyle and, they are leaders. I mean, Dylan Doyle personifies what a leader and somebody of high character is. So I don't know if it was necessarily the message just wasn't being received, if you had too many egos in the room. I know for one thing, in my perspective from the outside looking in, was you didn't have a lot of the senior leadership. You didn't have that upperclassman to just kind of step in and control the room. And you kind of mentioned it a while ago with Gary Bohannon and Blake Shapen. I think that every time we spoke with Gary Bohannon last year, he just exerted confidence. Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter the situation. He was going to come in and everybody was going to rally the troops behind him. And Blake, I haven't had enough interactions with Blake Shapen to necessarily say that he doesn't have that kind of confidence, but I feel like Gary was able to hold a room. Blake hasn't been able to do that. And right now, it doesn't matter who's on the team. You cannot feel comfortable right now. Everybody should feel a little sketchy. Everybody
should feel as if they got to make sure when they open up the door into their football life that they got to, is there someone behind them? Now, I know that Shapen's taken a lot of the heat, like Charlie Brewer did in 2020. You're talking about beloved? What he did his first 3 years at Baylor? Are you kidding me? Basically almost cost him his brain for 3 years. It led him to a Sugar Bowl, lost in Matt Rose last year. And then in 2020, I mean, he was the reason. And it wasn't all him, but he didn't play well either. And now you're seeing that same vitriol for Shapen, that maybe not quite the same for Charlie Brewer, but it's gotten close the last 2 or 3 weeks or so. Now, Dave Aranda admitted a couple of things last night in the postgame. Craig and I were there, among others. And one of them, he says he saw some things coming, and then he didn't see other things coming. So I asked this question. You'll hear the question. I asked him this question. This is like 3 or 4 questions deep in the postgame to Dave Aranda last night after what was an embarrassing performance against Air Force.
Dave, last year at this time, you're preparing for a Sugar Bowl. Best season in Baylor history, a Big 12 championship. Has this program taken advantage of that in any way with the momentum, or have you gone backwards?
I appreciate the question. I think of just as a completely different team last year to this year. And I think a lot of learning for me, I look back now and I've had some time to do this prior to this question. And, I see the things that I see some things coming. There's other things I didn't see coming. And that's probably a lack of experience on my part. And, I think to be real transparent about that only helps you get better. And then, I think the college football world, as it changes with transfer portal and everything else, I think, just my personal, view of that and that's something here to stay and how that benefits us. I think all of that, has grown throughout this year, and this year could almost be looked at as a lesson in that. And so I just see us getting better. I think for the guys that are returning, to see the work, despite the not, the work despite the not instant gratification, and to continue to work, they're going to see, they've seen that. And then they're going to see, the adversity and how to handle it. And I think we'll only be better because of it.
All right, so that's Dave Aranda, Dylan Doyle in the postgame, only one player. You win that game, there's usually maybe at least 2 to 4, or maybe a parade of them, or maybe a breakout session after the game where you get a chance to talk to players. And I will say this as well, as a member of the media, this has nothing to do with whether or not they're better, whether they're 6-7, 7-6, 8-5, or 12-2. The access Baylor gives you is there. And a lot of times I'm on the radio or here or Craig or Paul. Jack goes to some of them. Garrett goes to some of them. Jacob or Emery and Levi go to some of them. But I do wish there was a little bit more. But this is not the only coaching staff. The coaches are not available once the season begins. And it's not because I selfishly want to sit down and talk to Jeff Grimes for the show, although that'd be great. I think you'd like to hear it too, whoever it might be. Could be Kevin Curtis, the defensive backs coach, corners coach. It just thinks that's time in which maybe we could get some, what the hell's going on? And not to throw anybody under the bus. Dave Aranda wants one voice. I get that. NFL coaches, for the most part, do that too. A lot of college coaches, Saban, Kiffin, others do that as well. I just think it might give us a little bit more peek into what might be happening. Not so a player is thrown under the bus or a player's called out, but just, hey, what? And it's hard in a way, but that's for us to figure it out and get that information anyway. And we will. And now that some players' eligibility has ended, we will try to get a few players to try to reflect back on it next week and into the other parts of the early part of 2023. Again, the fans, for even you being there, God bless you. Seriously. It's not the only cold game this year. There's in Independence and Shreveport, the Independence Bowl is freezing, too. Dave Aranda admitting that there's some things that he had he made mistakes in a way in how he saw things. He saw some things happening and others not. I think Baylor has this as well. I could be wrong, and we've discussed this with Mac, and we've kind of discussed this with Dave Aranda. Baylor has NIL. Nobody really knows about it. But they do, and it's not bad. Is it like what Oregon was able to do? No. Is it like what Texas can do? No. But it's never been that way. Is it like what Miami's doing? No. And they don't want it really to be that way. But I had 2 people text me after the game about the NIL, after the National Signing Day. Baylor has to make a decision on how they're kind of fighting this. And it doesn't mean they're wrong. They're just kind of fighting. Do we jump all in and get our hands dirty? I don't think that's going to happen under Mac Rhodes. Even if you want to and you go to hell with that. They're not going to do that. But there's got to be something there that attracts the attention without it being Dave Aranda or Jeff Grimes or Eric Mateos or Sean Bell or whoever doing it, because you can't, as a player or team, you cannot do it. But there's got to be a better way for maybe the young players who you're trying to find come play for you. I think there needs to be more, whether it's marketing from those who do it or visibility that it's there, because I really honestly think a lot of people don't think Baylor has any NIL. Hey, you know what? You blank or get off the pot when it comes to NIL. You can do it differently than everyone else, but you can still do it. And I think that's out there as well. And not so sure if you're playing through this. Imagine if you're a player and you have other schools who have contacted you, and yes, oh my God, there is tampering. But let's say other schools contacted your starting left guard, and I'm just using that as a position. Say it's a linebacker. Hey, we have this. And I say schools or those who handle the NIL. We have this. No, I want to stay here. Coming off 12-2, you're damn right you do. But then you keep hearing about others getting more. And I'm not trying to compare what Baylor's getting or should get compared to others around the country who are just, they're rolling in the money like they always have. I think there's a fine line in doing it right, doing it clean, but also going, hey, we have some things. And I do think that might have created a little stress within the program this year. You have somebody reach out to you and say, hey, we're going to pay you. I'm just going to use a figure. No one gave me this figure. It's not like Arch Manning numbers. It's not Austin Novosad numbers. It's not whatever anyone was trying to do, although the quarterback in North Carolina, Drake May. He was an article about whether or not really someone offered him $5 million. He had some discussion about that. I'm just throwing it out there. Doesn't have to be that, but man, when do you get it? Are you getting that before the season starts? See, I'm against that. That's an inducement to me. Are you getting it after your season's over? What about midway through the season, your buddy who's playing in XYZ city against you or another conference or in your conference, and they just got a check for $35,000? You don't think that doesn't catch your attention for a player? I know I'm just kind of going off here, but I'm not going off against – if we wanted to discuss last night's game, we could go for hours, and I don't think I want to smell that. And I hate to say it that way, because that's what it was. That was ugly. It stunk. And that questions the soul of your program that was known for being hard, core, tough as nails, physical. And then there was last night. And that's not pointing the fingers at any single player. Not a single player. That's pointing finger at a program coming off 12-2. And yes, a lot of guys left. And pro players, I get it, great players, once-in-a-generation type players. But the first half against Brigham Young, they weren't quite engaged. We don't even need to get into Kansas State. They had to hold on for their dear lives at Iowa State, which was a nice win. And you look back at that. What if one of those games that they won, like in Lubbock or in Ames, my God, what if they wouldn't have won those? Then they're not 6-7. They're 4-8. There are no bowl games. And then after last night, you almost wonder, may have been better. But no, you want to get into a bowl. You want to have a winning season. They don't. They didn't. It's 6-7. You are what your record says you are, as Craig said in a post-game type summary of what happened to Baylor this year. The quarterback situation is like everybody's like on edge with that because of Austin Novosad going to Oregon when he was a one-year commitment to Baylor. They lost him. You know what you do? You find somebody else. Do you find somebody else as good as him? He didn't walk on water. He hadn't taken a snap in college football. I'm not saying you wouldn't want 3 of him, but you don't have any of him. Move on. And that's what Dave Aranda, Jeff Grimes, Sean Bell and company have to find out because they haven't had a quarterback in 2 years. They had a former, Anthony from La Tech. And look who's gone. And by the way, some of them are gone because of playing time because they weren't good enough to play either. Remember the clamoring for Jacob Zeno during Charlie Brewer's horrible 2020 season? The team was awful, 2-7. Remember the clamoring because of what he did in the Big 12 championship game the year before against Oklahoma, and he looked very good. He couldn't even play in front of a guy in Charlie Brewer that was not having a good year at all, who maybe is just like, where is he? And then he goes to UAB. Okay, great. And I like Jacob Zeno. Good-looking young man, smart as hell. Love the family. Haven't really shaking hands with him. Good people. Kyron Drones, man, I like that kid. He's one of those. He looks the part. Talked to his dad many different times. Kevin. Didn't work out. I hope whatever he does at Vautech is really good. I hope Zeno at UAB is really good. Gary Bohannon, hopefully, after he gets healthy again at USF, is really good. I want everyone. I don't have anything against him. Austin Novosad, good luck at Oregon. But man, the backup quarterback is always the most popular player on most teams unless you have Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. or maybe 5 other quarterbacks in the NFL. Garrett.
I mean, yeah, it really is. I think Baylor's situation is really unique because right now, all right, looking at the recruiting aspect of it, you went all in on your 2023 guy and you struck out. Now you're looking at the 2024 classes. You already are missed out on Marcus Davila, the quarterback from Midland Legacy, who just committed to TCU. Maybe you look at the Woodlands and try to get Mabry Motter, get the Siraki brothers who played with him to kind of put in a word there. I know Baylor's been in contact with him. Also, you got the Trey Owens, another 2024 prospect coming out of Cy-Fair. I think that's a good target that Baylor can look at for the future. But right now, man, I don't know if necessarily – you're going to have to bring in probably 2 transfer quarterbacks. I think Blake Shapen needs to be pushed. I think you really need to bring somebody.
You know who wants to be pushed? Probably
everybody.
Blake Shapen.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to bring somebody in for that. So I was of the camp of call Hudson Card from the jump. I knew Hudson Card would hit the portal once the season was over because right now you got Quinn Ewers down there and Arch is coming in. You still got Malik Murphy. What's going to happen to him? So I was of the camp of hitting Hudson Card up a long time ago. I still think that Baylor needs to do that. It's just a matter of now you're in a position where you can't just grab one guy. You got to get multiple guys and just kind of hope that it's kind of mending the fence. But then they've put themselves behind the ball here, and it's going to be really difficult to crawl out of this situation. There's no sugarcoating that.
No, I agree. And by the way, someone doesn't have a name. Maybe it's LTCM. I'm not sure on the chat room. Drones is at Vautech, not Law Tech. I said Vautech. I said Vautech, Virginia Tech. I mentioned Law Tech as a player at transfer on the Baylor depth chart at quarterback at Anthony. So, man, there's a lot to get to. More from Aranda after the game. More from you. Somebody asked, what is Hudson Card's status? He's a free agent in a way, right? He's out there. I'd take him. A lot of teams would like to take him. But right now, I'm not sure exactly that. I've heard Notre Dame. I've heard name. I don't know. At Oklahoma State. I don't know. Is it Baylor? I don't know. Aranda mentioned last night in the postgame that, yeah, they're still kind of in the midst of wrapping things up. They're not done. They're not done. By the way, speaking of that again, Dominic Richardson, former Oklahoma State running back, will join us today at 5. J.J. Joe on the quarterback room again at 4:30. Plus, we'll hear from G.J. Kinne in 5 minutes, the head coach at Texas State, and Eric Morris, the head coach at North Texas. St. Dominic's Rosary, Hudson Card, maybe heard even TCU, whoever it might be. They're going to get a good quarterback. There's only one of him, and there's only like 5 pretty good ones in the portal. But last night, man, that's one of those. Craig said this in his summary. I listened to it because I got home really, really late and unloaded the car. So when you get up, at least you don't have all that to do. And yeah, it was cold as hell in Waco too. It's one of those that may not, if it doesn't bother you today, then you shouldn't be playing football. If you were in that game last night, played or not, if that doesn't bother you today, then you shouldn't be, you should give up football. Secondly, that doesn't mean it was your fault. Third, it might sting today and tomorrow. In about 8 to 10 or 12 years, believe me, not that I ever played at that level, but there are still games because I just be competitive that I am. There are still some moments in my career as far as sports, which only lasted through senior in high school, and I know that level's not very good, that I still, at times, I don't reflect back on them and I don't let it bother me, but it's like, damn it. Are you serious? Like my last game, we got our asses kicked by Hayes Consolidated. Part of it was my fault. I played defensive end against a triple option, and after all of the weeks of what we did to plan for that game, the Rebels, as they were called, the first damn play that they had on offense, I took the wrong person. As a defensive end, guess what happens? Bye. Air Force was good. This is not just because Baylor may have not been there or didn't play well. Air Force forced the issue. They 3 and out, that right there. They get the ball near midfield, go down and score. Again, it was lucky it was 9-7 at halftime. That could have been 16-3 or 16-0. So what does Baylor do now? Dave Aranda and his staff, they still have to hire a defensive coordinator. a defensive backs coach, a special teams coach. They still have some more to do when it comes to the recruiting, the portal, whatever else. And, oh, by the way, who else is leaving? We don't know. There could be more. Paxton, Smokey, I told you about Air Force. I'm going to say this, and I told this to Craig. I said this to daughter Jennifer when I was on my way home. I had written down, I swear to God, I can't take credit for this. I'm an idiot. 30-7 Air Force. And I would have been right. I would have been pretty close. I did. And I didn't. No, like a freaking idiot. I said, no, I'll go Baylor. Like an idiot when I said they would win at Brigham Young. Like an idiot when I said they would lose at Iowa State and they won. Like an idiot when I didn't think they'd win at Tech and they won. Like an idiot when I thought they would win at West Virginia and they didn't. Like an idiot when I thought they would beat Kansas State at home. And my prediction, I'm sorry, we have ups and downs. It was horrible. This team was erratic as hell, bipolar in a lot of different ways. Absolutely, it was a mess of a year. It's done. That's the good news. It's done. And now they don't get to play again until sometime in September. Let's take a break. We're going to come back with G.J. Kinne. I covered him in high school when he was at Canton and Gilmer. He's now the head coach at Texas State. Thank you to all of you. Just brought up TJ, Paxton, Monty, Clint, Bobby, Chris, Bob, all of you and others on the chat room. This is 365 Sports. Ideal MRI, Dr. Rob Maxey and his partners have put together an incredible business that makes a lot of sense for you. For you, the customer, the patient, who might have something that is a very badly damaged ligament and or muscle. Maybe even torn. Maybe it's in your knee, it's in your shoulder, it's up in your, maybe in your lower back, maybe around your ankle, your foot, your calf, your thigh, whatever it is, their MRI machine will find it. If your doctor discusses getting an MRI, maybe you've had x-rays, whatever, and they say, no, we need a better look. IdealMRI.com on the site, on website. Their locations in Waco, just off of I-35 in the southern part of Waco, in the Central Texas marketplace. Again, they'll find out what is damaged, what is hurting, what is creating pain for you that might even be excruciating or shuts you down. You can't function. And it just might be annoying, and you need to find that out too. Number two, they're going to save you a ton of money. Average MRI is $1,100. Theirs is $497 or less every single time. IdealMRI.com, $497 every time. Oh, by the way, and sometimes less. They'll help you with your insurance claims and get those filed. IdealMRI.com.
In our logo and advertising, we say we are people that you can count on. What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people. Good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. Nachos and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
I have known G.J. Kinne, I think, since he was almost in diapers. That means either I'm old or he is getting old with me. And the head coach at Texas State, the Bobcats, G.J. Kinne, joins me on 365 Sports with David Smoak and Garrett Ross. G.J., how you been, young man?
Man, I'm great. I'm glad I'm getting to hop on here with you.
Well, I appreciate it. I know you've been busy. How difficult was it to juggle what you were trying to finish out the year and win a championship at Incarnate Word, while also with part of your vision, knowing you're about to take over another program?
Yeah, it was definitely difficult. But you know, those kids and guys over at UIW, that coaching staff, those players over there, they deserved my full attention. And so I just tried to be where my feet were and, you know, went to practice, watched the film, you know, stayed there as long as I could, and then went over there, you know, in the evening times at Texas State and just started recruiting and putting the staff together.
Can you try to, if I was to ask you, okay, I want to see your call list, not the names, but just how many calls you made, maybe Monday, Tuesday, up until whatever you can do before National Signing Day, would it have been just an enormous amount of numbers?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're on the phone, high school coaches and you know, kids and parents and all kinds of good stuff. I think I'm down to 263 text messages I still haven't read, so I'm still going through them. So sorry if I haven't texted you back or called you back. Well, you know, I've been a little busy.
By the way, I don't know if you ever responded to mine. No, you did. No, you did.
No, I did respond because you said something about the Canton 6158.
Yeah, when you had that shootout with Sacramento State, which was just like nuts. I said that reminded me of that incredible game when you were at Canton and beat eventually when you were at Gilmer, but 61-58 at Rose Stadium, one of the most amazing games ever. And you said you kind of thought that too, that game reminded you of when you were playing.
It did. After we did an ESPN interview after the game, and that's exactly what I said. It reminded me of a Texas high school football, you know, playoff game, and that was really the game I was referring to. I just knew they wouldn't know who can't deal.
All right, so what do you need to do? What is the job at Texas State for you as you now take over this opportunity?
Recruit. We got to recruit like crazy. You know, we got to recruit our current players. We got to recruit high school kids. We got to recruit in the portal. That's the name of the game. We got to get some more pieces in this thing for us. I just got done hiring my coaching staff, got everyone hired, so really excited about that, and then we just got to recruit.
There was a philosophy, and of course, in this day and age, GJ, with the transfer portal, and you've been affected by that at Incarnate Word, as everyone has been, but that it was just a load up on the transfer portal. What is your philosophy juggling high school talent, incoming infusion of youth and talent, and the transfer portal?
Yeah, we got to recruit high school kids in Texas. That's got to be the foundation, I believe. Especially, hey, we're Texas State, so we're going to recruit Texas high school kids. That's going to be the foundation. But you also got to, you got to recruit the kids that maybe went somewhere else and want to come back to Texas, or we're in the Big 12 and want to come down to Texas State. So that's kind of the model right now. And obviously, we're going to take best available. If there's a kid from Mississippi that's a stud and they can help us and it fits kind of our culture and what we want to do, then we're going to do it. But the foundation is going to be Texas high school football players.
So you had this quarterback in Lindsey Scott Jr. Robert Griffin III made a comment about how he is actually, and I think UTSA's Frank Harris could be in this conversation, they're overshadowed because they're not a Power 5 school or whatever. Both of them were elite at what they did. In your opinion, you played at the college level and you played well. You played in the NFL. You were an analyst in the NFL. You've coached now for long enough. How good is Lindsey Scott Jr.?
Man, Lindsey is a stud. And I think obviously the talent is there, the arm strength. Obviously he's a dual threat guy. That's kind of what, you look at around the NFL and some of the top guys are games very similar to Lindsey. So I think he's got a real shot to play in the NFL. And that's what I tell him all the time. It just takes one team to really like him. And, he's been invited to a couple of these college all-star games. So I'm excited to go watch him and kind of compete and kind of what his next chapter looks like.
GJ, you made the climb. You've, of course, I just mentioned where you played and even places you coach, but you've done this pretty quickly, getting to the point where you're now taking your second job as a head coach in college football. What's it been like to kind of methodically and yet in almost rapid speed where you are today?
Yeah, I think it's just all about relationships. Everywhere I've been, I think playing in the NFL and preparing like a professional every day. And that's what I tell people every day. It's a job interview. And that's the way I cheat every day. I go into work, every day is a job interview. I'm trying to impress everyone I'm around at all times, trying to do my best ability. I'm recruiting at a high level. I'm trying to coach these kids at a high level. And I think when you treat people the right way and you work hard, good things happen to you. And that's just kind of, I think the reason why I am, here where I am today.
How much can you rub off what your success has been? How much can that rub off as a head coach?
Well, I think, the confidence, you can't fake these young men out. You can't fake these coaches out. So, I'm very confident in what I do, very confident in the plan. So, I think you definitely can affect these guys with how you carry yourself.
All right, so football has changed. Dave Aranda, who, oh, by the way, that's who you, I think, open with, right? Baylor next year?
I believe so.
Yeah, he's talked about it, even at times it's kind of a give and take, and you got to, where we are with the transfer portal and recruiting has changed, and then NIL and all of that, and I don't know how much that gets into Texas State yet. But how hard is it to juggle, not just what you were doing between two programs, how hard is it to now juggle so many different things have changed in college football?
I think that's why, I think it's a young man's game. I think that's where it's going. You got to be on all the social medias. You got to grind. You got to be on the phone constantly. And that's what we're going to do. And we're going to find a way. We're going to maximize what we have and figure it out. That, I'm a problem solver and the rest of the coaches are problem solvers. We're going to get what we need to win and get the right recruits in here.
GJ, as far as recruiting goes, and you look at the San Antonio area with the success you had at Incarnate Word, what Trinity was able to do, what Jeff Traylor has rolling with UTSA, is San Antonio kind of an untapped area for potential when it comes to recruiting, and how much of a focus will you put on that area?
Yeah, San Antonio will be a focus right down the street. Really good coaches, really good players, but I think that there's great talent everywhere. Obviously, my focus is going to be Dallas, East Texas, and then we got other coaches that have stronger connections in different parts of the state. But we're going to scour the state, We're going to, be recruiting the Texas high school coaches. We got to get them on campus, kind of show them what we're all about. So I'm just excited to get out there and start recruiting, to be honest with you. We've got to do it a little bit, but the product we have at Texas State and what we're able to offer these young men is tremendous in my opinion. So I'm just excited to go and represent Texas State.
You're not quite central Texas, but you're pretty close to it. If you took a map of Texas, you could say it's either Austin, Waco, or whatever, but it's right there, pretty close to that. How much is it that you can go basically 2.5 to 3 hours, a little bit longer to get to Northeast Texas, but really about 2.5 to 3 hours to find football players everywhere you look?
Yeah, I think, when Chad Morris took the job at SMU, talking about a tank of gas is all we need for recruiting. And that's really the case. Maybe 2 tanks of gas for us. That's about it. So, we're going to recruit that area. We're going to recruit the whole state, and we don't need to go very far. I know that.
Do you were a part of the list for the Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year award for what you did this season? How much did that mean to you to be even a part of that conversation?
I think I beat Dion by like a couple points, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, it's just a credit to the coaching staff and the players we got, and that was awesome. And I'm not even sure who won, but just to be mentioned with those guys and all that was definitely my first year doing it was pretty cool.
GJ Kinne, again, the head coach at Texas State with us on 365 Sports, and I know you got to go make some more calls. So what is the National Signing Day is over? What can you or can you not do right now when it comes to reaching out to players?
We're still recruiting. You can talk to them on the phone and all that. It's just dead. They can't come to campus, and it opens back up for the portal kids on January 4th. So we'll start having some official visits then, and we're constantly on the phone, and we'll make a couple more announcements to our recruiting class probably this afternoon. So stay tuned to that.
GJ, I know one of the issues surrounding Texas State in the past has been facilities per se. The weight room. I know there was situations where Texas State was having to go to San Marcos High and lift in their weight room. Are there any plans in place right now, or do you see in the foreseeable future where you can get facility upgrades to kind of help with recruiting to go on that along with that aspect?
Yeah, sure. It looks pretty good right now to me, but I think we're about to break ground in April on a brand new kind of end zone complex and weight room and kind of redoing that whole building. So it looks pretty good to me right now anyways, but I don't need a lot. I just go in there and lift weights and do all that. So, but yeah, I'm excited about where this program's headed and the facilities and the, the leadership here with, Dr. Danfus is unbelievable. One of the reasons why I wanted to come to Texas State, and he's going to pour into this program, and we're going to have the best of the best. So I'm really excited about that.
Is that one of the challenges, is that maybe somebody doesn't realize what Texas State has when it comes to facilities and letting them know that this is what you actually have?
Yeah, I think when we get kids on campus, like this weekend, we had all kinds of kids on campus. I think they were pretty blown away kind of what we had to offer, and we had a lot of success with commitments on a short notice. And I think the more, we can get these kids on campus, the more we can get their coaches on campus, obviously the better we're going to do. So, like I said, this place is a gold mine. It really is. And so I'm just really excited to be a part of it and leading this deal. And cause I love recruiting. I do. I really do. Some people, talk about, the NFL and college, we want to go to the NFL, but I want to stay in college forever because I love impacting young men's life, and I love the recruiting aspect of it. So,
GJ, I sent Jeff Traylor, who's been on this show, who's done an incredible job everywhere he's been. I sent him a note just a minute ago. I just said, hey, by the way, we've got GJ on. His response is not a surprise. The best. Love that kid. How much of the influence, and how often did you guys, being in the same city, even have a chance to cross paths or talk?
I think just interviews, to be honest with you. I went to his house one time, I believe, in the summer, but I talked to him last night or 2 nights ago for about 30 minutes. And, I talk to him when I can. And I'm always bouncing ideas off of him. And when I was building my staff, talking to him about that. And I'm constantly talking to him. A great sounding board for me, a great mentor, and just an unbelievable, person and coach. So, I'm sure we're going to have some recruiting battles ahead of us and that whole deal. But, we'll play clean.
Has he ever forgiven you for 61-58?
No, he brings it up pretty much every time we're together, so I guess not.
All right, your father was a coach. When you were playing for him in Canton, was that in your blood yet, or did you realize that's part of what you would do? I knew you had goals to play in college and play at a high level, and obviously the NFL, and you did that too. Was that in your blood even then?
Yeah, I think so. I always knew I wanted to coach. Obviously, I wanted to play in the NFL and play longer than I did. I wanted to, be one of the greats, but, it didn't work out. But I knew I wanted to get into coaching and shoot. My dad's one of the best, if not best coaches I've ever been around. The way he gets his teams to play hard and he's a winner. He's always going to win wherever he goes. So, it's someone I model my game after. So he's definitely one of the greats, and I definitely knew I wanted to get into this deal once I got done playing.
I've done a lot of high school games in my lifetime, but 61-58 at Rose Stadium was one of the most classic games. Watching a team in Canton that had never really experienced that kind of success, have that kind of success against a dog, a gorilla, an 800-pound gorilla in Gilmer. I'll always remember that I was at that stadium and doing that game. GJ, I watched you thrown from the time you were at Canton, Gilmer, and obviously at Tulsa as well. Very proud of you. Incredibly proud of you, and thank you for your time. I know it's been a whirlwind. Get back on the phone, whatever you can do. Go do something good, and I'll probably hope to talk to you next September before you play Baylor and get you on the show again.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Always got time for you, and always appreciate you and your support. And I always remember, going to Smoky.com and seeing if I won Player of the Year or whatever, all that kind of good stuff. So I really appreciate you and everything you've done.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. G.J. Kinne, head football coach at Texas State, the Bobcats. He's been at SMU as a graduate assistant. He was at UCF. He was at Hawaii, analyst for the Eagles as well, and for Arkansas. And now head coach at Incarnate Word. Took them, I think, to the semifinals before they lost to North Dakota State. And then now the job, and did a really good job of juggling what he was doing at Incarnate Word and almost taking, in fact, they took North Dakota State to the wire up there, which we know what that's like. Not many people do. And now taking over at Texas State in San Marcos, Texas, just south of Austin. All right, when we come back, maybe another note or two. Dave Aranda in the postgame, watching the tweets and your chat. Also in the text, 254-339-1122. A couple of other notes in college football. We'll have Eric Morris of North Texas at 4, J.J. Joe, Baylor quarterback, Baylor Radio at 4:30, and Dominic Richardson, Oklahoma State transfer running back going to Baylor. He'll join us today just after 5. Garrett Ross, I'm David Smoak. Everybody's out kind of decompressing after the football season. The season for Baylor ended last night. And in a lot of ways, it ended with a thud. No doubt about it. In fact, it did. So Paul, Craig, Levi, Emery, Jacob, Jack, and many others are out kind of just maybe decompressing. And I'll do that here pretty soon as we're off the air today. Garrett Ross is here with me, and this is 365 Sports. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler, Jeep Ram, Fiat. I think it was, National Signing Day. Yeah, it was National Signing Day. And I got a text from Ted Teague. And I was driving around running a couple of errands. He said, hey, we got 3 tickets for the game in Fort Worth. Sure did. So I texted Paul. I said, hey, would you tell everybody if they want to go buy whatever? He gave those tickets away. Somebody that listens to us went by the dealership and got 3 tickets from Alan Samuels. And if you were at that game again, God bless you. You deserve extra Christmas gifts for dealing with that weather. They're going through right now their big finish sales, their event happening right now, saved throughout the holiday season as and while it lasts. In fact, the 2023 2 or 3 row Grand Cherokee Limited with total values up to $5,000. And if you are a part of any kind of first responder, an extra $500 in bonus cash. Again, the design, the technology, the Grand Cherokee L even brings you extended seating with a 3rd row. Hurry in, test drive. Why not? If you are looking for something to drive starting, in fact, this year, why not test drive a vehicle at Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler, Jeep Ram, Fiat. They have Chrysler, I mentioned them. For example, the Ram trucks, $7,250 in values. And how about discounts? The Ram truck constantly, every year, honored awarded for what they represent and who they are as a business, Ram Trucks. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Howdy, Chet Garner here, professional guide, searching for bears in the wild. But not just any bears, oh no, a particular kind. With hundreds of thousands roaming freely in the wild, yet still hard to spot unless you know the signs. There they are, Baylor bears. If you're a bear enthusiast or even a bear yourself, join me and let's find some bears in the wild.
Join the expedition at baylor.edu/alumni.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your home for holiday favorites for parties or time with the family, with various specials available while supplies last in store or ordering by phone, including 8 to 10 pound half spiral hams at $4.15 a pound, 12 pound pit hams at $4.35 a pound, 8 to 22 pound bone-in hams for $3.40 a pound, 14 to 16 pound whole raw turkeys at $2.85 a pound, and $4.80 a pound for 9 to 12 pound whole smoked turkeys, 6 to 8 pound mini pit hams for $5.99 a pound. Limit 4 of each item per customer. Call in advance to ensure availability or drop by Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco. Waco Custom Marketplace, your full-service butcher shop for customized orders or cuts of your favorite steaks or beef tenderloin or specially ordered prime rib roast. WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
365 Sports, I'm David Smoak, flying solo in a way today, at least on the set. Craig, Paul, everyone out right now, and we'll get a break. We'll all get a little bit of a break next week. Garrett Ross running the mothership here. And we're joined, is that right, Garrett? We're joined by Eric Morris, the head football coach at North Texas. Eric, thank you very much for your time. We just had G.J. Kinne, who's now at Texas State. Both of you have been head coaches at Incarnate Word. What's in the water in Incarnate Word that's leading to others having success when they're there?
I don't know. The Sisters of Charity there at Incarnate Word are looking down upon us and blessing us with many, many blessings.
When did coaching get in your blood?
Oh, I think probably when I was 5 years old, and my father was a longtime head basketball coach at Shallowater, Texas, is where I am right now in Shallowater, and although it feels like Pullman, Washington outside with this cold front, it's always good to be back in Shallowater. But yeah, just being around the game, I've been super competitive my whole entire life, and I was the kid in a little town of Shallowater where every day from elementary school on, I'd walk across the street and go to my dad's practices. And so grew up with the ball in my hand, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, I did it all. And I love the competitive nature of it. Love winning, love competing. And so coaching was always in my blood. I knew my dad worked too hard, too many hours, and putting too much time in to make the amount of money he did. So I knew I probably wanted to go in a different direction and try to make a little money if I was going to spend that much time away from my family.
Again, Eric Morris, the new head football coach at North Texas. We really covered North Texas quite a bit. We had the Davis, the linebacker. Phil Bennett was a weekly analyst for us the year he was out of coaching for a couple of years. And a lot of others on that staff I know that were there. They get to a bowl game, there's the coaching change because they feel like there's more. What is the definition, in your opinion, of what North Texas can do that can be more?
I mean, I think they can go all the way to the top. And I think, starting with the leadership from the president on down, I think that they've really committed to football, and they've shown it by, giving North Texas the resources to compete at the highest level. And then, I think that they really took it serious and wanted to get into one of the premier conferences in the group of five. And so, you see what they're building there, new stadium, new indoor, and then, going into the American Conference right now, that it's important to them. And they're in a fertile area right there that produces some of the top high school football talent in the nation. And so it'll be, I think tough in this day and age as far as, the new landscape of college football where, you got the portal and you got the NIL. And so we're going to have to do a great job of putting together a great staff and then, keeping some of that talent right there in the DFW area. And it's not broken right now, like you said. I mean, this is a team that's been to bowl games. I think Seth Luttrell did a fantastic job of taking it, to a new level, and they're used to winning. But then, I think they're kind of sitting on a plateau right now. And if we can bust out of this thing and continue the trajectory up and go compete for championships and win some of these American championships in the near future.
So you have, again, I mentioned Incarnate Word, Washington State, at now North Texas. And I mean, this kind of turned around pretty quickly, but right up against with what's going on in college football with the transfer portal you mentioned and National Signing Day. How much of a whirlwind was that from the weekend to Wednesday when you were trying to assemble a staff, your staff, but also assemble a recruiting list of commits and signees?
Yeah, my last, 8 or 9 days, I wish upon nobody, just to be able to, getting ready to be able to coach in a bowl game with Washington State to getting on a flight down to Denton and really to engulf myself. Just, it was a bizarre week where they were playing that week. So I had an opportunity to go and meet some of the players, start building a relationship with those guys and then, deal with some of the alumni stuff every night that we were doing, watch the game. But really, I think some of my experience in the past and being a head coach in these positions is I was able to step back and just be patient with this. I think that they didn't have many commits at the time. And so to really, the first and foremost, I needed to put together a staff that was going to be able to help me. This is not a one-man job. I need a bunch to surround myself with a lot of great men and great coaches. And so, that was goal number one. I knew we were late. I knew we weren't going to win signing day. We didn't have any time to form relationships, get kids on visits, do the things you need to do. So patient in that regard. And then, right now I'm working through trying to hire a great staff, which I think will be, one of the top staffs in all of the group of five. And so, excited about where we're headed right there with staff. And then now with the second signing day with the portal, we'll kind of be able to reconvene and really get our thoughts together and know how to attack this the right way.
What is the right way?
Yeah, I think that you got to build relationships, and two, once I put our coaches together, I mean, I don't even know enough about this roster yet to really know what we need next year. And so I think, to be able to take a step back and really figure out kind of the pieces we have, and then to figure out what we need and then go attack those needs for this roster that fit into our schemes next year. And so I thought it was important to get an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator, and a special teams coordinator, and then to really be able to look at our roster and kind of find out what those positions of need are and go get those. And, and I always think it works both ways. We need kids that we have relationships with and want to be here for the right reasons, and then vice versa. And so I respected those kids and said, hey, if you need to go take other visits or take another opportunity, like I'm okay with that. You don't know who's going to be coaching you. And so I always believe in doing right by the kids, and I want them to be in a great situation. I don't want kids that come here, don't know us, or come into the wrong scheme and they want to transfer the next year. And so, I told all of them, hey, we'll still recruit you. But if you need to open it back up, then that's what you need to do right now. So
I consider Phil Bennett a great friend, not just of our show, but a great friend from his time when I knew him well before he took over as a defense coordinator at Baylor. Back in the day, his brothers coached in high school football as well. He's from East Texas. When coaches have transition, is there ever someone can you reach out to him and pick his brain? Because I know he loves to share information. Is that something that's normal when you have a coaching transition from who was there before?
Yeah, it always depends, and it all depends on what kind of person. I know what kind of person Phil Bennett is, and he's a first-class individual. He's a first-class coach, and so Phil's been amazing. I think Phil was the right man for the job there at the end to be the interim and kind of be the bridge in the gap there, and he kept those kids together. He kept them practicing hard, and I thought they went out there and played extremely hard against a great Boise team, and so I can't say enough good things about Phil Bennett. I've known Phil for a long time. I competed against him when I was at Texas Tech. He was at Baylor. Does a fantastic job. And two, Phil took the time, to spend a lot of time with me and really go through a bunch of things that were going on there and some of the things that he thought were really positive and some of the things he thought, that need to be fixed. And so, yeah, I can. I mean, I could sit here and talk about it all day, how good of a human being Phil is and how good of a coach he is. And so I think Phil's at a point in his life where he wants to go and spend a lot of time with his family and with his wife right now, which rightfully so. And but he was awesome to me and also to those kids during that tough time.
Eric, what was it like during this time? You're getting this opportunity, which is a great opportunity for you at North Texas. And yet you're also dealing with the emotions of Mike Leach passing away, which really rocked this entire country in a lot of ways. And the stories that a lot of people had about Mike Leach that people maybe didn't know unless they knew him or didn't know him, and they had great stories. What was that like dealing with that?
Well, the cool thing about it was I was sitting in Mike's chair when I got this call. And so, Mike's given me every opportunity I've had in football. He's the one that gave me a scholarship, believes in me coming out of, small town kid, undersized kid here at Shallowater, Texas. So forever grateful for that. And then Mike gave me my first full-time job at Washington State. And so I'm sitting in Mike's chair and it was, I believe, Monday afternoon. We're watching film when I found out of his passing. And so that kind of struck me hard that I was actually sitting in his seat. And then the very next morning, I got the phone call from our athletic director that I was going to be the new head coach at North Texas. So both of those things were super surreal for me. Just a man that gave me everything I had in this profession. And I think he was definitely looking down upon me. And, the one thing I hate is I always enjoyed, my phone conversations with Coach Leach and so much wisdom that he would pour into me. And, I know how proud he would have been of me, and that's the one conversation that I was missing. And then for North Texas to be able, my press conference is supposed to be on Tuesday. They set up his memorial service as something important for me to go to that memorial service, and for them to allow me to do that was something that was super special for me. To see my old players, my old or former players, former coaches, all those things were something that meant a lot to me. And so, he was my greatest mentor. Someone that really I would like myself to have the same impact and legacy that he left in college football someday. And so, just super proud that I could call him not only, my mentor, but my friend. And it was definitely an emotional week on a bunch of different levels.
Well, you said you were sitting in his seat. Was that the seat he had at Washington State?
Yeah. So his office kind of opened up into the staff room. And so I'd always sit at the front of the staff room. That was our offensive staff meeting where we would watch tape. And so, that was his chair forever when we got to Washington State. And so, yes, sir, that was the one.
Eric, you've mentioned a couple of times here about your staff and putting it together. What's it been like to watch a guy like Sean Brophy develop from your quarterback at Incarnate Word to now somebody you rely on, and just to watch his path open up in coaching as well?
Yeah, I always believe in surrounding myself with smart people. And, I think that's one thing that a characteristic I got from Coach Leach is learning how to hire the right people and surround yourself with great men that not only that aren't just yes men, that are going to be there and bring something to your program. So always thought Sean was super bright as a player. And then, he actually, had his master's degree and had a great, 6-figure job to go out and be there in Arizona working for his family's company. And he called me about 4 months into it, and he's like, "Coach, my heart's in coaching." And I said, "Well, Sean, I don't have a job for you right now." And he said, "I don't care. I'll come work for free." And so he came to Incarnate Word, started working for free. That next year we were able to get him on the staff. A guy that is super disciplined, loves film, loves to develop relationships, really knows the quarterback position really well. And so then, I had an opportunity to take him up to Washington State, and it's been fun to continue to watch him grow. And so one thing Mike Leach did, he took chances on people. I don't think he always just made the sexy hires. He hired people he believed in that were going to be loyal to him, and people that love coaching ball. And so to watch his progression and know, there was not a question in my mind that he was ready for this opportunity. He was committed to it. I saw him, come and work for free because that's how much he wanted to get in coaching and loved being around the game. So yeah, Sean was a no-brain hire for me.
Eric, you would have found a way to play college football somewhere, but how much did the air raid, or what they now do with slot receivers, how much of a door did that open up for you and others that perhaps were overlooked because of your size?
Yeah, I think I think it started with Wes Welker, and he kind of made this a position that was wasn't there before. The slot receiver, and you see these guys come in and that are 5'8", 175 pounds, and all of a sudden they're catching 100 balls a year for 1,000 yards a year. And so my dad was a basketball coach. I thought I was always going to play basketball. It was a thing, I was watching this guy, Wes Welker, and dominate right down the road in Lubbock, Texas. And so it was like, I think I could do this. And so, started going to camps there late, knew that at my size, basketball probably wasn't going to be the key. You turn on TV, college basketball, there's not many 5'8" guys out there running the point guard anymore. And so I started, my last year, I really went to all these camps and performed really well and ran some good times. But too, it was super attractive to me that how they were using him as a punt returner in a slot, and they were catching all these balls. And so I think the evolution of the air raid kind of was something that was happening before our eyes, and these smaller slot receivers were really becoming a thing. And I thought I kind of fit into the mold of that, and luckily so did Mike Leach and Dana Holgerson and Sonny Dykes, and they gave me a scholarship, and the rest was kind of history.
Eric, we had the opportunity to speak with G.J. Kinne a while ago, and he said something that stood out to me about how right now in college football, it's kind of a young man's game, especially on the recruiting trail. And I think you can even see that kind of trickle up into the NFL with some of the younger coaches you're seeing develop. Do you think that statement holds true when you look at yourself and your situation and kind of the landscape of the game as it is right now?
Yeah, I think so. But, I don't think you can ever overlook, having great experience at the same time. But I think that young guys are getting, these opportunities and proving, that they can do it at a high level and recruit at a high level and coach at a high level. And so, yeah, I think so. But at the same time, I always think that that there's a place for wisdom and there's a place for experience. And so, that's one thing that I do want to surround myself with not only great coaches, but great coaches that have great ties into the state of Texas. I think this is a state to where, some of my greatest friends and greatest coaches I know are Texas high school football coaches. And so to embrace yourself in that and to always have the mindset that you're always learning. And there's a bunch of things that I don't know that I want to continue to grow as a leader, as a coach, as a head coach. And I'm definitely not too proud to think that, I can't learn something from a high school coach. So we have one scheme right now that we're doing that's kind of taking storm in college football as a little screen pass, a GT screen pass. And I tell people we kind of started running it. Incarnate Word got really good at it. Everybody's running it now. And everybody's like, well, where'd you find that? And I'm like, well, we were watching recruiting tape one day and Canadian high school was killing a team with it. And I said, I called Canadian high school and said, hey, teach me a little bit about this screen you're running. And so yeah, I think there's definitely some truth to that. There's a bunch of youth out there right now that are doing great in the coaching ranks, but at the same time, I think you still need to grow and evolve and learn from smart people.
Eric, I know you're trying to spend some time with family, and we appreciate you doing that. Taylor Bryan, somebody that I got to know really well when he was at Baylor. He does an incredible job with media relations. Obviously, Jared Mosley, we had him on when he was introduced as the AD. He was down in Waco running the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. We wish you the best of luck. Enjoy whatever you can the holidays, and also building your staff and also putting together talent for your program. Hope to talk to you again down the road, but have a great Christmas. Merry Christmas, sir.
David, I've always appreciated your work and watched it from afar. Thank you for everything you do for football in the great state of Texas. Thank you, man. That means a lot. Eric Morris, some of you on the chat room, a couple of you on the chat room, and I was going to read these to Eric, but man, one of them said he owned the sidelines. There's another one. Yeah, he owned the sideline. Arlo, Eric Morris was an incredible wide receiver at Texas Tech. And there was another comment about he was a great player. This is from Patrick on Eric Morris. He was a great player, an awesome individual, a great ambassador for Texas Tech. Thank you for those of you on the chat room. Thank you to, as well, both Texas State and North Texas for allowing us to have the opportunity to talk to two bright young coaches as they take over Texas State and also North Texas. One college note, Chase Brown, All-American type player, running back at Illinois. Very impressed with him. He is turning pro. He's leaving Illinois after a great run. He is now turning pro. He was the first running back in program history to be named a finalist for the Doak Walker Award. Now, I want you to think about the history of Illinois and running backs. There's a bunch. There've been some. But so that he's a heck of a player. He's dual. I say he could do it, dual threat in a way. Obviously a running back, but also someone very, very good in catching the ball out of the backfield. Also, late yesterday evening, Desmond Ricks, a cornerback, yet another highly coveted player, made the decision to sign with Alabama. He was a class of 2024, reclassified to 2023, the number 17th ranked player in the ESPN Top 300 and the second best cornerback according to rivals in the country. They outdid they were able to get his signature. LSU and Florida very much in the mix. He is now Alabama had five-star recruits. I think Texas ended up with 4 and had another run yesterday and throughout the week, and they're not done. No one's done.
No one's done, even though National Signing Day was on Wednesday. This is 365 Sports. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans, it's not too late. If you have somebody on your list, and a lot of times now people, like you pick one person from however big your family might be. I'm not talking like brothers and sisters or your mother, father. I'm talking about like from if you have a large family, cousins, uncles, etc. But you maybe pick a name. And if, in fact, one of those you pick as a younger person, this isn't going to be for them, but somebody you know that smokes cigars. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco is where you can go and get a great gift. Carol, Ashley, and Cheyenne, they will help you even if you don't know much about cigars or what people may like or maybe even the brands. But they have the great brands like you have Nike or Adidas or whatever when it comes to shoes and running, like athletic shoes. They have those brands of cigars. The 1964 Padron, the 2021 Cigar of the Year in the world, they have that. They have Macanudo. They have Romeo and Julieta. They have Arturo Fuente, Rocky Patel. They have every brand you would ever want. And I say that like they throw away 1,000 brands. They have the elite brands of cigars that you would want inside their 48-foot walk-in humidor. They have CBD product, including Vita Dreams. It's a gummy. You take it at night. It could be 30 minutes or an hour before you're about to go to sleep. And let's say you do have issues at times with tossing and turning. It might be something really big on your mind, and you can't avoid tossing and turning because a big, huge meeting the next day or something you're involved with, and you just Vita Dreams can help you get better rest quicker instead of tossing and turning and save 30, 45 minutes to an hour of sleep time. So when the alarm goes off, you're like, oh, I did get some pretty good rest. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB, your bank for life. Member FDIC.
Did you know the public? Next time you're in town for a Baylor athletic event or you're in town for tourism, take advantage of their day passes for $10 a piece or the weekend for $30. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers 40 group exercise classes, including indoor cycling and yoga, boot camp, and bar. New free weights, weight machines, TRX rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, new elliptical machines, and a spacious weight room floor. Personal training with Christy London, Randall Corley, and Alec Botch, where you will be encouraged to grow. Sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed, kids club, 16 tennis courts and 8 pickleball courts, and youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons available. Waco's premier experience where you can help your mind, body, and soul. Visit wacotennis.com or visit them next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why we take the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott in Conroe at 936-756-7717. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
You know what would make this moment better? Pizza. Dough made from scratch and an Italian family sauce recipe pizza. 3 fresh signature cheeses making a melty blanket of perfection pizza. Like loads of premium toppings like crispy Old World pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, and fresh sliced veggies pizza. That's Marco's Pizza. Visit marcos.com and make any moment better. And with 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, locally owned pizza place that's out of this world. Everything from the dough, the sauce, the sausage topping is made fresh in-house. Not to mention the amazing pizza pillows, the chicken wings are to die for. Try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries or tots, plus great specials on food and drink every single day. Shorty's is also the perfect spot to watch the game with your friends. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
JJ Joe.
David Smoak.
Sorry about that. That's $10. Oh, no, Paul's not here, and neither is Craig. They're off for a while, and so anytime I interrupt that billboard, when there's a delay there, I have to put in $10 into the kitty, but they're not here. I don't think they're watching. If they're smart, they're relaxing. So JJ Joe in the next segment, and we've got to get into this. What the Blake Shapen, the quarterback room. We've discussed this with JJ before. We'll do it again. So Paxton, Eric Morris brought up Canadian the Canadian Wildcats. And every time I think of them, they've won multi-state championships. But when Paxton, who's very, very much aware of what happens in high school football in Texas, is a big UT fan, he mentioned Canadian Wildcats, one of the best small school teams I ever saw. 2015, I was going to broadcast La Vega winning their state championship against Argyle down at NRG Stadium in Houston. But one of the best small school teams, and I've seen a bunch of them. I have, from 1A all the way to 2 or 3A. And I'm talking about, in this case now, football's at 6A, so to me, 3A and below. 2015 Canadian beat Refugio 61-20, and it was one of the most impressive small classification teams, and I've seen a bunch of them. But that one there was at a level I don't know, they would be in that top 4 or 5 all time and maybe at the top of that list.
They're always good, man. That 2015 team was really loaded. Anytime you get to see like those Canadian Refugio matchups, you're going to be in for something special. But yeah, your Marts, they're always in the mix. Albany's, but yeah, it was kind of funny just to listen to the similarities of the style, and it made sense, with Eric being from a shallow water and everything. So it was kind of cool to see that tie in. But man, there's so many coaches right now just across the nation who are Texas high school coaches in general. So it's always fun to kind of watch them get back from their mentors, per se. Absolutely.
It was good to hear as well Eric discuss the legacy and also the impact Mike Leach had on him in his career. Now, we played, there was 2 or 3, 4 comments from Dave Aranda last night that stood out to me, and one of them was a question I asked, and it's not because I asked it, but it needed to be asked. Where in the hell is the momentum from 12-2? It's gone. When did it disappear? Did they take advantage of it? And he gave us a really good answer. The other part of it was one of the first questions that was asked by Drake was this question about how are you going to stop the bleeding, so to speak?
I think it's to focus on things that are right in front of you, things that you can control. I think, I think the morning of, so yesterday morning, right, the morning of signing, I show up, it's early in the morning, and one of our video guys is there, and I I'm going to grab a cup of coffee and I ask him how he's doing. And he goes, I'm kind of not great. And I asked him, what's going on? And he brought up the recruiting part that you mentioned. And I just think, that was a struggle for us just with the losing and everything else too. It just kind of permeates. And, I think the staff meeting we had yesterday morning was, man, look at all the guys that we got. Look at all of the talent that we have, the people that are now going to be a part of Baylor, the families are now be part of Baylor, and how much they wanted to come to Baylor.
That is Dave Aranda in the postgame last night after the loss to Air Force. And the question now, you've lost 4 straight, blown out by Kansas State. The gut-wrenching ending against TCU. And, Garrett, I think we'll go straight to JJ here, if it's okay.
Okay.
The loss to Texas when you led in the fourth quarter and then they ran 22 consecutive plays down your throat. And then last night, the loss to Air Force on top of the kick in the you-know-whats when you had a quarterback committed to you and Austin Novosad as long as he did, and it didn't work out. Now, he's not coming to Baylor. You got to go find somebody else. There's not a lot of 4- and 5-star guys out there, but there are some diamonds in the rough, and there are quarterbacks that maybe just for whatever reason get a lot of attention. They didn't get a lot of attention. You got to find one of them. You got to find at least maybe a transfer portal or 2. I was talking to Paul earlier today. He's on his way to Nashville, and one of the things you got to have is someone's got to push Shapen. He needs that. He probably would want that. And hell, Baylor needs that. And the fan base, if you go trot the same guy out there right now that's kind of like blasé the way people feel or angry, then that could be an issue. J.J. Joe played the position. It's hard to play quarterback in college or at any level. Baylor radio as well. Saw him a couple of booths down from us last night at Amon Carter Stadium. JJ, thank you. Merry Christmas, by the way. And we appreciate you giving us time. I know that everyone's trying to get away and enjoy if they can. Would that be considered in some ways? You played the game, I did not. Was that in any way, shape, or form close to a no-show last night?
Oh, wow. I mean, yeah, it was really, really close. And, thanks for having me on, guys. It was disappointing. You were hoping that, Coach Aranda could get his crew up one more time so they could, excuse me, go into the offseason, kind of on a high note. But overall, it was all systems failure again. They did well. They kind of stayed in the game for a little bit. But nevertheless, once the pressure was applied a little bit, we just couldn't respond. And that's kind of been the case all year long.
I know the weather conditions were horrible. You've played in some bad weather conditions. I get that. But what did you see from Blake Shapen, in your opinion, and why has he digressed as much as he has?
It's interesting. I'm not sure. It's just a continuation. I mean, it wasn't like I felt I was going to see anything significantly different 20 days later, right? We saw him at the end of November in the offense, and then pretty much we saw the same offense the other night. So it wasn't like you're going to see a lot different. You hope to see maybe a good game, right? But you weren't going to have everything, kind of cleaned up. So I think last night was just a continuation. It was one where Blake did not play a clean game, but it really was. If you think about it, it's not an excuse for Blake. I mean, the offense as a whole played really uneven, uninspired football. And I can't explain it to you. Now, those conditions were bad. I've been in bad conditions, but they weren't so bad that you go, 0 for 11 on third down. You're a little bit listless. That's just a team that really, or an offense that really just kind of wasn't all the way there.
JJ, there's no question that Baylor last year, and I know people leave, and some of them were generational type talent, but they had an identity. They were going to pound you in the mouth with a football. They're going to beat you up and twist you around like a pretzel defensively. Special teams was pretty good, reliable, and then they could throw the ball with the play action or whatever. Did we see really any of that ever consistently this year?
No, we did at times. At times we ran the ball well. I mean, we ran it well in spurts, and it was kind of interesting because I think we had the running backs that we started the season with. Tay and Quaylen were the starters. And then, of course, Richard Reese came on as the runner, and Squirrel finally got healthy. And, the run game was different than last year. Last year, you had a physical guy in April, you had a speed guy in Treston, and, you had a quarterback that could run a little bit more as well, although Gary didn't run as much as we think he did. And this year, it seemed like at times, I think that Coach Grimes got a little confused a little bit about who he wanted to be. And I can't explain why. I couldn't explain why. Maybe it was just the lack of success or consistency from the running game. But, and maybe it was the toy of Blake, and he felt like, hey, I could drop back and pure drop back more. But in essence, I think we lost our way a little bit sometimes. And then, eventually we kind of got our way back there. But we never turned into that team that was just one that was going to physically dominate you, and we're going to try to hit you over the top.
You don't just change to change it, but, obviously there's a lot of anger, frustration, what went wrong, and Blake Shapen seems to be getting a lot of that like Charlie Brewer did, maybe not quite as much as Charlie did at the end of 2020. What can they do? They can't just go trot him out again. What do they have? How can they find people? There's a transfer portal. This signing day, they lost out on Novosad. They got to go find somebody to push Blake. And don't you think Blake wants to be pushed?
Yeah, he needs to be. It's one of those things where, overall, I think it's fine for fans to be upset overall. Hey, I'm upset. But I've been on the other end of it, too. I've been on the other end of it where, we no-showed at a bowl game. We were at, that year we were ranked, number 7 in the country. And we sputtered to an 8-4 finish with a 21-0 loss in a bowl game. And I went from a quarterback who's in high contention in September to one where they're like, oh, it's pretty good, but So I know the other end of it, and I understand the frustration because this team was expected to do much better. So I understand that, but I think big picture, can you try to break Blake back out? Yes, you can. I know we fans don't want to hear that, but it's all going to depend on, does he improve? I read a post the other day and I responded about people saying, well, he's already 21 years old and we can't expect him to get better. I said, that's idiotic. That's so idiotic. My last snap I was 23. My birthday, I turned 23 in November. I played UT, I think, after that. And I was a better quarterback having played 3 seasons. You can't tell me a 21-year-old young man that has played his first and started his first full season cannot be a quarterback in 8 months later, 9 months later, after having that season of experience. You can't tell me he can't be. That same person who's, maybe a Monday morning quarterback, would have punted on Max Duggan, who was one of those quarterbacks that people felt was done. I know people say, well, everybody brings him back. It's a special case. No, he ain't. He got beat out in the summer. But yet he wins. He's a second in Heisman. So I'm not comparing Charlie to Max. Max is a dual threat guy. But I'm saying a guy can improve. And I know Baylor fans are upset. We went from the penthouse to the outhouse in a short span of 12 months. But part of college football is development. Even though Blake is 20 years old, who just started 14 college games, you can't tell me he can't get better. Now, will he get better? That's on him. That's on him. If he doesn't, you're right, Smoak. He shouldn't play more than one game next year. But I refuse to believe that you can't trot him out there if he gets better, along with the receivers getting better, and they retool offensive. I think it can happen, but he has to show it. Now, don't get me wrong. He does have to show it.
How can he be who he was in the first half against Oklahoma State and then at times this year maybe flash that but never was able to be that?
Well, the first thing for Blake, besides physical stuff, I think part of it is just like technique and making sure that, you're a quarterback and not a baseball player when you're out there. The next thing, of course, is decision making. The next thing is being comfortable seeing or anticipating coverages and what defenses are going to do to you. That I can tell this year he wasn't as comfortable. Now, that's where the development happens. The development to me happens where, okay, as a young man, yeah, I can clean up the physical stuff with my quarterback coach during the offseason. But the question is, will I get in the film room and video room, identify what defensive coordinators are trying to do to me, and then know what the answer is? There's a couple times in the game last night where I felt like Blake didn't know what the answer was. And you want to see him know the answer in the 13th game of the year. So can that stuff get better? Because I think you can see a vastly different quarterback if you have a young man who says, okay, on this down, hey, here's the coverage I'm expecting. Okay, I did get that. Well, here's my safe valve, or here's what I'm supposed to go. That can improve. So he has to get much better at that. And I think with a season under his belt, having the defensive coordinator show him everything this season that he's going to see. Blake is not going to see he's not going to see another coverage or another defense that he hadn't seen in his previous 14 starts. So now the question is, can he play better and anticipate what's coming when he lines up again if he ever gets that shot? As much as I hate to lose Austin Novosad to Oregon, that's the future. If that dude was playing next year, we'd be 6-7 again. Trust me. If he was playing, we'd be 6-7. So I hate it for 24-25, but for 23, if you're not getting somebody with experience who has, some stuff under their belt, then you're going to be in trouble anyway. We saw right down the street, Smoak, in Austin, they had a guy who was one of the top-rated quarterbacks in the country. They didn't want him to throw the ball against Baylor.
Yeah, they kind of just buttoned him down. They just and they didn't probably have to, but you're right. One of the most elite type whatever talents everyone's talked about, and he showed youth as well. JJ, if you were a quarterback, and this is not to be critical, but based on what we saw offensively this year, and yes, they lost some dynamic talent on both sides of the ball, but if you were a quarterback and you saw what Baylor has been at times this year, and more often than not on offense, would you want to play there?
That's a great question. I think Grimes has a good, Zach Wilson is doing well. I mean, it's all got to bring up right now, but he had a lot of success in this offense. I think this offense, last year we saw what Gary and Blake combined did in 21 season and the 22 Sugar Bowl. I think you would. It wasn't great, but I think you would want to play here. But I think that the magic to me is Coach Aranda and his staff. The question is, can you get receivers? We've seen a transfer. They got a transfer here. You have some young guys here. Amani Winfield is a young guy. Josh Cameron's a young guy. They have a lot of young guys. If you can get young receivers, if you get a quarterback, but you got to get receivers. And I think Coach Grimes has shown that, hey, I'm willing to throw the ball. I'm willing to pass the ball if we have the right combination of talent. So, the question will be to me is Coach has to remember why you are a power running team, and this is Coach Aranda, and you want to commit to be physical. We're in Texas, man. We grow receivers, we grow quarterbacks, and you have to have something that's attractive to those young men, and you got to get them on your campus because at the end of the day, we're Texas. We're not Michigan. We're not up there up north. So I think you can. But the question will be, first for me, is getting the wide receiver talent. You got to track those guys because I think that helps attract quarterbacks.
And by the way, as frustrated as maybe you are or anyone else might be with what they saw, and the question I asked you was very fair, but Jeff Grimes, and he didn't forget everything in a year, no different than anyone else didn't do. It's just sometimes it's what you have to work with. But, boy, there's a lot of pressure, I'm sure, on the offensive coaches, Sean Bell, quarterback's coach, to make something happen also in the transfer portal and get this passing game because they made the decision, JJ, and I don't think not many people argued with it back in February, March, or whenever it was with Gary Bohannon and Shapen because of what we saw against Oklahoma State Big 12 championship game. In the end, is there a possibility they made the wrong decision?
Yeah, it's all when you make a decision, Smoak, you can imagine. I mean, I would say look back on it and say, hey, man, so we have kept Gary around. And then, and maybe that would have given us a little bit more of a quarterback run game. But, at the time, I thought it was the better decision for them to really make sure that their throw game, their passing game was a little bit more efficient and dynamic. But they gave up something. And what you gave up was the quarterback run game. You kind of gave that up. So and Blake did make up the differential. So the differential in the passing game did make up for the differential loss in the run game, the quarterback run game. And that's the risk you take. So could they have made the wrong decision? Possibly, yes. But I think if the wrong decision was made, I think I put this on Stick 'em 365 in the article, was the loss in leadership. Because the one thing I'll say about this team, as much as they have this championship DNA, is that they lost a lot of guys with grit. They lost a lot of those guys who went through the 1 and 11.
Mm-hmm.
Gary was one of those guys. Treston was one of those guys. JT, all those guys they lost were those guys that were hard by being really bad, laughed at, and have to fight through it and go through everything and get to finally 7-6 or 6-6, and then get to they were there. So I think the loss of Gary hurt their leadership. It seems to be that this team never had anybody, despite having a lot of returning big guys up front, never had anybody that said, we're going to lead it, we're going to run it, follow us. And to me, that was the real issue with this team, is that none of the big guys really took the mantle and decided to lead this team like Terrell and Jalen did last year. They just didn't.
I'm not saying this happened, and I know you got to go, and thanks for fighting through. I know you got a little head cold, and last night, I mean, if anyone went to Fort Worth in a booth or not and didn't come away with a head cold, then they're not human. The NIL, we know what's happening. People are able to do it, and they're doing it well. And some are doing it more blatantly than others, and they can. Do you feel like maybe Baylor is maybe even David Aranda admitted this last night in the postgame, they're kind of struggling with how they want to do that? They know it's there. They know they have to do it, but they're trying to do it a better, like an even more like right way, so to speak, and that could create any kind of a friction or so within the players on the team?
Yeah, it's a slippery slope. I'm a believer in allowing players to be compensated, simply because I've been on the other side as well. I keep saying that, but this is the deal where it's like they didn't regulate it. They it's a whole, and not only they're not regulated, they were forced into it. So we're here. So Baylor has to figure out if they want to play big boy football. Smoke, that's all it is. Our fans got to decide if we want to be a big boy program. Our coaches figure out if we want to be a big boy program. Our ADs and presidents need to figure out if we want to be a big boy program. All in the same vein of there's a certain way we're going to do stuff. I get it. Because I think, you don't want to be, not to put anybody on the bus, you want to be like, we heard like A&M. I don't know if they were like that, but they talked about A&M really kind of going after a huge NIL money. Because that's not the industry. Everybody thinks just go get NIL, it's great. Well, you know what the problem is, Smoke? You got a locker room.
Yep.
That's the problem. Okay? And you got a locker room, and if I got all these new guys making all this money, they sure better be able to ball. Because as soon as they can't ball, you got locker room problems. That's what A&M had this year, right?
Yep.
You didn't think about it. Texas had a quarterback down there making a whole bunch of money. Well, they got a quarterback now coming in making more money. So, I mean, you don't want to – I don't think Baylor wants to beat Baylor, right? But at the end of the day, you do have to decide if you're going to be a big boy program. And I think that's where Baylor is. The landscape is shifting, and everybody is having to decide, hey, are we going to be a big boy program from a fan perspective? And look, yeah, I mean, like there's a base level of support you got to be willing to give these players, because it's just what it is now. I know it's hard for us to say it, but that's what it is.
Yep.
And then I think the coach got to figure it out. The fans got to figure it out as well. But we'll see. I mean, this will be something that we'll keep putting up with over the next, I would say 36 to 60 months before they decide kind of how we're going to do it.
They didn't build all these facilities up and down, MLK and University Parks and off the river to not be a big boy program. And then, of course, something changes in the middle of all that. JJ, seriously, I know you're battling your throat being a little bit raspy. Thank you very much. Love your commentary. Appreciate your insight and your truth serum. I hope we answered some questions for some people today, and we appreciate it. Merry Christmas to you and the family.
Hey, you guys, you take care as well. Merry Christmas to you, Smoke. Take care.
Right. JJ Joe, former Baylor quarterback and also Baylor color analyst on the radio broadcast. And I I don't think we pulled any punches in trying to answer questions and ask questions and get answers for you, for those of you who want that. Here we do all the way up until 6 o'clock. At 5 o'clock today, Dominic Richardson, he is the running back at Oklahoma State who scored a touchdown against Baylor at McLean Stadium. He has entered the transfer portal. He committed to Baylor, I guess it might have been yesterday.
Yeah.
And he'll be on with us, in fact, a little bit after 5 o'clock today. So that's coming up a little bit after 5 o'clock. Everyone, what we want to let you know is on Monday, we all, just like you all, getting ready to take a little bit of a break. Everyone's out except Garrett and I here today. That's fine. It's good. And then next week, Monday, Tuesday, Garrett, Wednesday, correct?
Yes, Monday, Tuesday,
We're going to have some best of leading up to what like TCU's doing with the college football semifinal, to some other particular stories along the way in college sports, college football, college athletics. Oh, by the way, Houston is down inside the 2-yard line. Just started the fourth quarter, and they are down 16-13 to Louisiana. They've been down throughout the entire game, but they're about to pass it. Well, it's 4th and goal at the 2, and it's cold as hell in Louisiana because you know what? It's cold as hell everywhere. It's like it is. I cannot explain. I know, but we'll see what happens with Houston. Going to go kick the field goal to try to tie the game up. 14 minutes clock running, fourth quarter. It's just what did they call it? Like. It's not a polar eclipse. What did they call this? It's like
a cyclone storm.
Yeah, like some kind of
it's insane.
No, they got these words. Weather, it's great. It's huge. It's tied up 16 apiece now. But it is cold. And I you know what? If you're from North Dakota, Canada, if you live up in the Northwest, I know you're like, you guys, no, this is like it's just Lambeau Field cold. Mm-hmm. It was last night. It was, and that's why I had such great respect for anyone that was there and the players. And so when I say that it was a no-show in a way, they still dressed up. They were still there, cold as hell. They played the game, didn't go well, and then Air Force, of course, played really, really well. Loved how they played for Troy Calhoun and how they play in general. Everyone has the elements. It's not like the only time it's ever been cold. To me, the coldest bowl game I can ever remember, for me, was a game on television. I'm talking about college football, was the Houston-Notre Dame game when Joe Montana was sick as a dog in the locker room, came out, led them to a comeback win against Bill Yeoman and Houston. And I think that was like 79, 78, something like that. And then also I covered Boston College against Houston at the Cotton Bowl. This is the year Doug Flutie won the Heisman Trophy, and it was a blizzard conditions. Took like 4.5 hours to get back from Dallas at the Cotton Bowl back to, at the time, Tyler. And it should take about 90 minutes at the most. It was blizzard to where I was in television at the time, and the camera was like fogging up. Like you would see in the window at a press box or a window in your car. It was that cold. Covered that game. Boston College won the game. Flutie had won the Heisman Trophy. Those are like 1A, 1B, and then 2013 Baylor, Texas. Cold as you could possibly imagine, but not like last night. Not like even in some cases 9 degrees below zero. When I got back to Waco last night, I drove back after the game. I believe when I got back to Waco, it was 5 degrees below zero. Thank goodness my faucets, I had put, I don't even know, they were dripping. And I had turned the heater, not up, but at least to where it was somewhat warm. And that the worst thing you, of course, worry about with the freeze is being on the road if it's got any precipitation. It wasn't any of that. But you don't want your pipes busted. Garrett, have you ever been in a place where your pipes busted?
No, I try to avoid that like the plague. Yeah, I've seen pictures, and it's terrible.
Even if you have to, and again, everyone else is going through it as well, so you got to be careful not to be too selfish, but it's your condo, your apartment, your house. Man, you got to get that water dripping overnight, because if it doesn't, and then all of a sudden you turn on a faucet and it's all, bam, then you have a nightmare with the pipes busting. All right, let's see. Jeff Ward asked a question, and this is some of the things I hated most about Blake Shapen this year. And I don't know if you mean like hated Blake Shapen. But hated the most was just taking such boneheaded sacks and losses. Scotty B. Bohannon is a better leader. There's no question that is in play. And that was in play when Jeff Grimes, Sean Bell, Dave Aranda, and the staff made the decision. They knew that. And you heard all the right things during the spring and even into the, early part of the fall. You heard all the right things. But that's something that is really something that you want to see Blake take control. Aranda told me a story one time when I was sitting down one-on-one with him about how they had a family night. It was like on a Monday night, and the families were over for dinner at the athletic at the football facility. And then it's like 8:30 or so that night, he sees Blake Shapen and the young receivers coming out of the room, the film room. So it's not like he didn't have some leadership skills, but were they missing something perhaps more than anything else? The experience of Gary Bohannon. I don't know that. Nobody ever said that to me that was in the in the locker room. No coach ever said that to me, but we don't really get a lot of access other than with Dave Aranda after the season begins. From Jeff Smoak, I think the question should be what in the world the staff saw in Blake Shapen over Gary Bohannon in the offseason. We've answered this. Jeff Grimes has answered this. I even think Sean Bell and Dave Aranda answered this. What they thought they could do is run the ball the way they did last year. They did at times with Richard Reese, Squirrel Williams, and, of course, Tay McWilliams went out very early. But they thought they could be I don't know if they expected to be as effective, but with the offensive line all returning. With some guys early on hit and miss because of games they missed. They thought they could run the ball like they did last year, and at times, especially in the first half of the season, and when they got into that nice little stretch where they won, 3 games in a row, they were. They thought because of that would open up the offense with Shapen being able to open up the offense in the passing game. That did not happen. Maybe it didn't happen. They still hit deep balls with Gary, but it was also usually to Tyquan Thornton. There were I saw it. I'm attention deficit here, and I'm sorry about that. Jalen Ellis had, I think, 3 catches this year. 1 for 47 yards, 1 for 50 yards against Texas, I think, and last night had 1 for 57 yards. It was once, 3 times this year. 50, 47, 57. But that was it. You saw some young receivers, Presley, Josh Cameron. I don't want to forget anybody that, you saw. Gavin Holmes early on was really, really very, very much involved. And I know there's maybe 1 or 2 others that I'm not forgetting about, but that may be not so me not remembering them, but that's how it was hit and miss and erratic in the receiving as far as the wide receiving position. Hey, some of those guys are like puppies. You know what? You got to move on. You're next man up. And that's why the Arkansas transfer might help. Maybe being able to beat people at the line of scrimmage when it's press coverage. And now did this year of experience for the youngins help them? They've grown up, and it was kind of on the fly. And did that hurt Blake Shapen, or was it Blake Shapen, or was it a combination? And I think it was probably a combination of both. And I also think this, and I have not talked to Eric Mateos about this, but I also think there were some protection issues as well for what was supposed to be a full-throttle, elite offensive line entering and heading into the season.
Oh, I think that's probably more the bigger issue than Blake Shapen, honestly. And last night was a glaring example of that. When you're playing an Air Force team, and granted on the defensive line when you're trying to guard that's more difficult with the timing and learning the angles and everything. But more so in the offense, you're bigger across the board than every defensive lineman that Air Force has. You get no push. You get no protection. And it was like that all year long. And I think that's more of the disappointing and disheartening thing when you look back on it. And I don't know how you're going to take a step forward. I know you're bringing in the Barrington brothers, and they're going to obviously be back in a system that they're familiar with. But where are you going to fill the void left behind? I don't know how difficult. I feel like that's going to be a real difficult transition. I think you need to really hit the portal more than what you're doing now to bring in some experience.
I think they
have to.
No, they will. I don't think there's any question. And then the question is, how many from last night are going to hit the portal?
Right.
And in some cases, this is not being disrespectful. You want that. You need a little bit of a little shakedown in some ways, and let guys go play if they don't feel like they're getting enough or they themselves have not been productive. And by the way, if players don't play, don't always blame that on the coaching staff. Blame it on the guys who aren't playing. Because, my God, they were looking for people to make plays, so there's that as well. Cameron Look said this, and I think this is something that when we talk about Blake Shapen and Dominic Richardson coming up, this is a very important thing. I think if just the TCU game had ended differently, which it didn't, but I think if the TCU game had just ended differently, again, which it didn't, and TCU found a way to find enough to win it with what Duggan did and then the field goal. If Blake Shapen doesn't slide short of the first down on the next to the last drive and maybe barrels through somebody and picks up a first down, game's over. If he does it again on the last drive, game's over. Or the Ben Sims wide open, he just didn't see him or didn't feel like he could get it to him. Everything I think you think about Blake Shapen at 7-5 or 8-5 or even 7-6, I think a lot of that changes. But when you slide, and again, who told him to? Is that just something he got skittish? Was he told early he couldn't get out of it? Was he hurt? Was there a reason for it? We never really got a chance to talk to him at the end of the year, the last several games. That's something I'd love to sit down and visit with him. And if they win that game, if any of those plays I mentioned happen and they win it, then you probably look at this a lot differently than, oh, my God, like the way the 2020 season ended with Charlie Brewer. And I'm not trying to compare that. It's not that. But the way fans have reacted to it, it has been that. All right, when we come back, one of the young men that won a game at McLean Stadium against Baylor, he's transferring within the conference. Dominic Richardson, running back at Oklahoma State, joins us next, and this is 365 Sports. I just saw somebody on Twitter put up a picture of a butcher shop with Wagyu beef, bone-in Wagyu, T-bones, bone-in ribeyes. I mean, the elite of everything you could ever imagine. Yes, it's expensive as heck, but that is a great cut of beef. And then, of course, there were other particular bone-in ribeyes. It was just a picture of the front of a butcher shop with the beef. Waco Custom Marketplace in Waco on 425 Lake Air Drive, they have that. You walk up and you see like one of those big tomahawk chop ribeyes. You ever had one of those? You could beat somebody over the head with it. It's like a billy club. And I don't know why this is weird when I say this, but one of those tomahawk ribeyes, it's got the long bone, like the rib, and then, of course, there's the big, at the end, the huge, big, thick chunk of beef steak. Reminds me of Gangs of New York or something, like one of those butchers, like a big cleaver. Man, those are good. Bone-in or boneless ribeyes, perfect for Christmas or even the New Year's. They have those at Waco Custom Marketplace. You want steak, you want beef, you want a butcher shop to make it for you, cut it for you, the side or the thickness you want. They do that for me all the time. Yes, they also have pork and poultry and seafood. They have a bakery every day, fresh baked bread and also kolaches. But if you want a butcher shop, you can go or you can call and then you'll pick it up like I do with bone-in ribeyes. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
If you're out looking for a great selection of new cars and trucks this holiday season, then shop Allen Samuels in Waco because we have some of the best deals in Central Texas that will put you in a new vehicle and driving away with confidence. Save big during the Big Finish sales event this month on the new 2022 Chrysler 300 Touring L with total values up to $4,000, plus $500 bonus cash to first responders. Hurry in and wrap up some of the best deals of the year at Allen Samuels in Waco.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. He cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy, last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Hi, this is Paul Catalina. I recently got engaged to the love of my life, but the most important thing that I had to do before I popped the question was get that perfect ring. And I know nothing about rings. So I went to the wedding ring store, Boozer's Jewelers on Valley Mills Drive. I knew I needed a custom design, and that's exactly what they do. 9 out of 10 of their engagement rings are designed in-house. The entire process took less than a month, and they were great every step of the way. Great options on financing, excellent selection, and talented designers. My fiance and I get nonstop compliments on the ring. I only deserve credit for doing the smartest thing I could, walking into Boozer's and letting them work their magic. Your one-of-a-kind fiance deserves a one-of-a-kind ring, and that's what you get at Boozer's. Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store on Valley Mills Drive.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Want more updates during the day? Follow 365 Sports YT on Twitter.
All right, appreciate all of you on this Friday, the eve of Christmas Eve. Of course, Christmas coming up on Sunday. Hope you have a great Merry Christmas, and obviously the next year get into the Happy New Year. We're now joined by Baylor running back Dominic Richardson. He joins us, former Oklahoma State running back. He joins us on 365 Sports. And Dominic, thank you for jumping on. We really appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
What was it about Baylor that made you say, that's where I want to go within the conference against a team, as you know, Oklahoma State and Baylor have had some battles?
Man, just going there with my, my girlfriend, my grandfather. We just was welcome like right away. So just meeting with coaches there, the running back coach, the head coach, it just felt like home, man. I don't know, it just kind of hit me right away. Just going to experience their practices, and I just like what they do as a team, how they like operate with each other, and just like different drills they do as well. And just like I just felt like it's like a family, atmosphere out there. So it's just connecting me heavy.
Juice Johnson, of course, the running backs coach. Can you kind of take me through, once your name's in the portal, how all of that developed with Juice or Jeff Grimes, Coach Aranda, and all the relationships involved?
Man, so Juice kind of, reached out to me first, and we just started chopping up on the phone, and he was just telling me how great of a place is up there, and how much he'd be appreciated if he had me as a former player. And I don't know, we just kind of connected with each other like right away as like running back coach and a player, and just everything he had to say to me as like individual drills, and this is what he can offer for me, and just like all the family things around it. So it started from there, man, and I just already felt that connection very strong, and that means a lot for me because I'm a family-oriented person. I feel like he kind of welcomed me in as like as his own son. So that meant a lot to me, man. And so going up there and like meeting the head coach and everybody else on the staff, it just was something great.
What was life in the portal like? Can you kind of give us, for someone who's now experienced the decision to enter it, what is it like once your name's in the portal? Is it crazy? Do you get your phone blowing up? What's that like?
Yeah, it's crazy. As soon as the portal, opened, it was like already 700 players in the portal, and even it rose up like before that as well. So just being in the portal, man, it was kind of a stress for sure. But like my phone was blowing up from different kind of schools, and my door was open for everyone. And I talked to many coaches, and they offered me great things as well. But when Baylor, contacted me, and me and Jones just kind of chopped it up, and I was like, man, he caught my attention with everything he had to say. It's the person who he was, and his sense of humor, all that stuff just kind of mattered to me. So it was a done deal for me.
You played against Baylor at McLean Stadium in a game in which, of course, there was a lot of emotion because of what Baylor had done to win the Big 12 title up in Arlington not that far. I guess it was in December of 2021. You scored. Right. I think you had 73 yards, 14 carries. I got to tell you, remember, Dominic, I didn't know, I thought you'd be at Oklahoma State forever, or at least until your eligibility. I thought that the running game against Baylor, despite big plays that were made in the kick returns, I thought you guys grinded on them. A hell of a defense. You had a really nice day that Saturday. What's it like all of a sudden now you'll be playing against them or with them?
It's crazy to think about, honestly, because every time we play you guys, it's like the biggest game for me. You guys got a great Baylor has a great defense and a great offense as well. They produce good running backs as well. I've seen that through my years at Oklahoma State University. So I scored my first 3 touchdowns against Baylor, my career touchdowns ever. So that was a big deal as well. So just being able to join the other side, I just think it's crazy and it's unreal. But I'm just excited to go, man. And I know I joined a great group of family and a great team overall. And I'm just happy to get started, man. And that's about it. I just feel great that I'm welcomed home, and everyone's treating me like family. That's the main part of it.
Describe your style. Tell me kind of describe your running style, if you would.
My running style is pretty much I'm a downhill guy.
Mm-hmm.
I can be elusive at times. I like to go through you. That's my go-to. But I can catch you off guard. I feel like, and can be elusive as well. And that's pretty much my running style.
Do you feel like with the experience you have that you could actually not only just be downhill where you run into you're not afraid of contact? I remember you're a pounder, you're a grinder, but how much more can you improve when it comes to avoiding contact and trying to get maybe those extra yards, not after contact, but avoiding contact?
Yes, sir. I'm very confident in that, man. I got that thing instilled in me as well. During right now, I've been training hard, working on being elusive in the backfield, working on the speed, all that extra stuff that I'm mixing and step on. So I'm making sure I carry that with me before going into this next season. So I'll be prepared and ready to show you guys that.
I'm not trying to get anything so much insightful about this other than just that it's an honest question. Everybody seems to be losing players to the transfer portal. Why has there been such and they've replaced a lot of people at Oklahoma State with Coach Gundy, but why was there it seemed like this rush to get into the portal? Was it anything in particular?
It's great coaches, great coaches at Oklahoma State University. I just feel like some things just wasn't there for us as players. We like to be treated as family. That's a big thing for sure. So being at Oklahoma State University with great coaches and all, I just feel like it was a step just missing from there. So I didn't feel like it wasn't the right fit for me anymore. It was kind of weighing us down a little bit as players. So I decided to get in the portal and make somewhere a new home.
You have 2 years left after this year. Do you have 2 years left of eligibility?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay. Now, Richard Reese had 1,000 yards, the young freshman running back. And, of course, they had some guys go out. He got hurt. Some of the downhill guys. What have you been told? Squirrel Williams, of course, had a nice run too, but he's been in and out because of injuries. What were you told about the opportunities you'd have? Because in the wide zone running game, with what Jeff Grimes and Mateos do, they need bangers. They need downhill bangers. They need to move the plow. What were you told?
Long story short, I've been told that we need toughness on their offense, and someone who's willing to bang it out and grind it out, and just be a tough individual. And so I know I have some I have to go down there and compete, whatever and all that. And just some great running backs down there for sure. And like I can't wait to join them. And to teach each other different things as well as an older running back and younger running back. There's a lot of things we could learn for different running backs. So I'm excited about that. So I just know I have to go down there and tough it out and compete and just be a team player.
All right, I got to ask you this, and I'm not trying to bring back a moment that wasn't one of your favorites, but last year, Big 12 championship game, you know the story. Goal line, 4 downs. Jeremy McVay makes the tackle of all tackles for Baylor at the 1 basically inch line. Where were you at that moment?
Man, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's kind of hard to, just talk about it.
I'm sorry.
It's tough. It's fine. But no, I was supposed to be in that drive, and my shoe came off, so I had to come out. And as soon as I was about to get back in, we started running turbos, which was like when we go turbos, we can't really sub out during that time. So that's when Desmond Jackson was in, and kind of missed it by a yard short, even probably shorter, and didn't make it in. So it was kind of hard to see that.
So wait a minute, and nothing against Desmond, because he did everything he could, stretching, and it was just a great play by McVay, the McPlay as they called it. So you blew a tire, basically, your shoe popped, and you couldn't get back in because they were first of all trying to come from behind and win the game, and they didn't have really time to substitute.
Right, exactly. That's exactly how I went. Yes, sir.
How much did that game feed and fuel Oklahoma State in your football team that you were on throughout the offseason for when you played them again earlier this year?
Oh, it was crazy, man. Everyone was pumped up, kind of still upset about it. It was an unbelievable game for sure. We knew going into that game we're going to go against a great opponent, and they're going to be ready to go because Baylor always play Oklahoma State hard every single game. So we knew that. But going into all season and all that, we kind of knew that we had to bounce back from that. And we were trying to aim to that Big 12 championship this year. And that was just the motto, everyone was just ready to go. All
right, one more thing. I say that a lot, and then I ask 5 other questions because I'm intrigued with all of what you've said and appreciate your time. I know it's a holiday weekend. Are you chilling right now? What do you have planned for Christmas? Give me what do you want for Christmas? What's the one gift you hope you get?
The main thing is spend time with family and just spreading that love and just giving back to one another. And just that's what matters to me, man. I don't really have much on my Christmas this at all. Just pretty much just clothes, and that's pretty much it. But just giving back and shopping for my nephew, my niece, and my girlfriend. That's the most enjoyment for me. So we just getting together tomorrow for family, and after that, man, trying to find a new house in Waco and get moved down there and get down into the new system. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited about that.
When do you get to Waco? School, I guess, doesn't start till what? About 2.5 weeks into next month, which is not that far away. So you'll be here. Obviously, you'll be here for the spring semester to get through all that. But when do you have a move date? You're going to come down?
Sometime soon. I'm still kind of house hunting right now, so I'm going down. Actually Tuesday to go check out some houses and it's time to find a great spot for me and my girlfriend and my 3 dogs coming down as well. So that's what we're doing right now. So hopefully sometime that week,
Mm-hmm.
So that'd be great.
All right, are you in Oklahoma City right now?
I'm actually in Stillwater right now.
Okay, Stillwater, not that far.
Not too far.
Could you play if you had a game today in this weather?
Oh yeah, for sure.
You would?
I'm used to it, man.
Oh yeah,
it's freezing.
Yeah, Oklahoma gets some. You guys get some pretty good blast of cold. This thing's crazy though. Last night, and Baylor didn't play well, and you know that it was not a good night. It was minus 5, 6, 7, 8 degree minus wind chill factor last night.
Yeah, it's freezing. I talked to Coach, Justin. He was telling me, the boys was cold, man. It's cold. They're not used to that.
Would you wear would you have just you're going to play mind games with whoever you're playing against in that kind of temperatures? Would you go without anything underneath? Just bare arms?
Yeah, I really don't wear long sleeves at all. So I just go bare arms. If outside, throw some tights on, that's probably a maybe. That's about it. So that's how I'm kind of used to it, man.
Man, well, you got to get in it. It's not as cold if you're winning. Yeah, and it's
Yes,
surely
sir.
not as cold afterwards if you won the game. And obviously, Air Force, they look really good with what they did. Hey, Dominic, it's great to have you on the show. Congratulations on what you're trying to get done. We'll see you, of course, during the spring at spring drills and whatever else. Good luck finding a house with you and your girlfriend and the dogs coming in. What kind of dogs are
Yes,
they?
sir. Half golden retrievers.
Golden retrievers, huh?
Yes, sir. Great dogs.
Those
Great
are
dogs.
gorgeous, smart, beautiful dogs. Good luck with all of it, Dominic.
Absolutely.
Merry Christmas
Thank you.
to
I
you, and thanks
appreciate
for your
that.
time. You too. You too.
You too.
Good. What a great personality. I like him, Garrett. I was one of the things. He's a downhill guy. They need that. They missed that this year, and a lot of it was because players who would have been downhill they were hurt. Reese was fantastic, but he's not a guy that's going to break many tackles, although he'll get in the weight room and get more of that done this year. And then Squirrel, he's just going to run through you or past you. So they needed that. Not sure what that running back's room's going to look like. But you got to learn how to avoid contact, too, and make some people miss, which is something he has to work on this spring when he's during spring drills with Juice and company.
I think one element that he can bring to Baylor next year that will really help them is pass blocking. Because when you watch Baylor this year, they, other than Quaylon Jones, they really struggled pass blocking and helping Blake Shapen in really those dire times when the offensive line was just not holding up their end of the bargain. And to kind of listening to him talk and describe his running style, and then obviously just from what we have taken away from watching him play, it's almost like they look at him to fill the void of an Abram Smith. Like he was excited about contact. He wants to run through contact. He's big, he's strong, he's fast. Just listening to him talk, and I feel like that was one thing this year that their running game really missed. And I know coming in, you had everybody coming back as far as your line entrenched, and you thought you could kind of implement or duplicate what you did last year, but I think you really missed that style that Abram brought. And I know Treston did his thing, but I think you have that in a guy like Richard Reese. You have that Treston style. I still feel like they're looking for somebody to bring what Abram brought, and I think Dominic might be the right fit and the right person to do that.
Yeah, Dominic, if you look at his numbers, he would have been like Squirrel ended up with 550-something yards.
Right.
Obviously, Reese was just over 1,000. He had 149 carries, 543 yards this year, 8 touchdowns. He scored. He got those ones down to the goal line, which weren't easy for Baylor this year, and they're really not ever easy. Had 22 catches this year for 10 yards a pop, averaged 3.6 yards a carry. He's a mutter. He's a grinder. He's a pounder. He's not a thoroughbred, and that's not a negative, but he can maybe break a tackle. Next thing you know, he's got 15 to 20. I remember the game with Baylor. They were getting 3, and Sanders ran well, Spencer Sanders, but they're getting 3, and they got 3, and then they got 4, and he was getting the tough yards. And so thanks to Dominic Richardson, they call him Nick. Thanks to Tom. I think Emory went to school at the same high school as Dominic Richardson did.
That would make sense.
Some reason he said that to me last night, and I kind of grabbed onto it, but my brain was frozen.
Right, I'm sure.
Even inside of the press box. Bobby B, great kid, great interview. So thank you very much. Hey, wait till he hears the Velveteen Rabbit story. Can't wait to see him play next season. One thing about the Velveteen Rabbit story, and I saw a little bit of this smoke on the message boards and a little bit on Twitter. Last year when Dave Aranda and Baylor went 12-2, he was a genius. He was the ninja or the Jedi or whatever it is, and you're winning. And yes, he was very much in demand. He didn't get stupid in a year. Things changed. He learned from that. He has to learn from that, and he will learn for it in some ways. It's part of still his growth. Can you imagine from 2-7 to 12-2, if they can get anything from 6-7 to whatever, and that's going to be hard. It's going to be really, really hard. But I even saw some people start to poke holes at some of Dave Aranda's philosophical things. That's who he is. He's not going to change who he is because you're mad at him because they're 12-2. He may change some ideas and philosophy and coaching, but he's still the same guy when it comes to analogies and what he likes to refer to when he's talking about his team. Don't be that person. that starts to go, I don't want to hear any more about Velveteen. You love that. I almost said a word I can't say. I can on YouTube. Man, you ate that up last year. You ate that up last year, and now you're like, I don't want to hear about. Stop. Does he need to coach better, have a better offseason, do better in the transfer portal? Do they need the quarterback room to get better, more competitive? Absolutely. You don't think he knows that, but it's because all of a sudden they go from 12-2 to 6-7. You don't want him to be who he is? Isn't that what Dave Aranda said makes it so comfortable for him at Baylor? Not that he can go 6-7 and coast. He's pissed too. He's very disappointed too, as much as you are and more. But all of a sudden, isn't that what you loved about him? He's a great fit for Baylor. So anyone that was like popping off because of the books that he referred to or whatever, stop. Don't be hypocritical. I'm going to go straight to the chat room in the next segment. Let's do this. I want to know where you are and what is the wind chill, or what was the wind chill last night where you live. You could be in North Carolina, or you might be in Utah, or like Phil, our good friend Phil, up in Vegas. Steve up in, he's in Florida right now, but normally would be in Cincinnati or in the Cincinnati area. I want to know, what is the wind chill where you are right now? Like right now in Waco, I think the temperature's like 17 to 21 degrees. Let me see here real quick. Wind chill 17. Again, last night when I drove into Waco, it was -5. And believe me, unpacking my car and trying to get that thing where I didn't have to deal with it this morning, it was -5. What was the lowest it got where you were wind chill last night? And what is it right now? Just curious, and tell us where you are, whether it's Salt Lake City or Orlando. And if you're in Orlando, we don't like you. We're not happy with you. And if you're in Hawaii, we really don't like you. But just to kind of have fun in the next segment with that, this is 365 Sports. All right, what do we have here? Dr. Kent Petty. I can do this one easily. Appreciate Dr. Petty, what he does. Dr. Kent Petty, Petty Clinic, lowt.com. In Waco, his office. Started this a few years ago, like in the last 8 to 10 years. It's become a big deal. It's something that maybe was a taboo discussion about ED and sex drive, and oh my God, how do you battle that? Dr. Kent Petty can help you. Petty Clinic, lowt.com. What he does, what his staff does, is they get blood results from your lab work, and they'll set that up for you and take care of it. But they get your blood results, and if your testosterone level is dropped or too low, and again, as you get older, 1 out of every 3 men, 3.5 men have symptomatic issues of low testosterone. And it doesn't have to be your sex drive and ED. Could be sleep habits, could be your focus, could be that it's just not, you're not the same. Could be your strength. Dr. Kent Petty gets you set up, as staff will get you set up to get your lab work. That means they'll draw blood. They'll have somebody, they'll set it up, tell you where to go, take care of it, get your blood results, look at it, and if your testosterone levels are too low, they can put you in a program to increase your testosterone levels so you can get rid of all those symptoms that maybe you have. Is it ED? You know what? That was just something that people didn't talk about. It may be behind the doors, or now it's watch TV. How many of those commercials are out there, right? Fix this, fix that, take this, take that. Dr. Petty can help that with what he does at pettycliniclowt.com.
Hi, I'm Mark Stewart with Bird Colgin Ford. It's that time of year. It's football season. And BK Ford is a proud supporter of the best high school football teams in Texas, right here in Central Texas. BK Ford is proud to sell the #1 truck in Texas, the F-Series truck, led by our leading rusher, the F-150, 45 years in a row. Lock in your best price and rate today by custom ordering your new F-150 at BK Ford. Simple, easy, trusted. Experience better at Bird Colgin Ford.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Chuck Verno, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Chuck Verno, 720 North 64th Street in Waco, 254-732-1161. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion. And I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Are you a Sikkim 365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
All right, bear with me here. And I don't want to say bear with me because if you walked outside, I saw a couple of Baylor fans not even wearing shirts last night. Now, you know what? You're nuts. Good fans, though. Great fans. One guy was painted all over the place. Can you really paint your body with the color of the team that you like if you're all hairy? Garrett, it's not a full throat. You have to shave your body.
You would definitely
Otherwise,
have
it gets spotty.
Yeah, it would clump up.
And then you go, how are you going to get that off? It's like gum in your hair.
You would have to soak, I think, like for a while.
Like, yeah, there's not enough Epsom salt or whatever in the world. All right, we're going to go. I'm going to go to the text line first, and then also we're going to go chat room. We're going to do this for a while because it is, what are they calling this this blast? This is some quote. Hold on, weather.com. The Elliott bomb cycle, or Elliott is a bomb cycle. So no, I'm sorry. It's a bomb cyclone. Cyclones are like hurricanes in different parts of the world. They just call them cyclones. Mm-hmm. Or typhoons, excuse me, is also another word. Bomb cycle. I mean, there's a picture of the United States, and it looks like it's just covered in nothing but just cold. Now, the text line. Glenn, I'm in Waco, and the wind chill is cold as hell. I would get that from Glenn. Glenn, I expected that from you, and I'm glad you did. We love you, man. All right, listen, Steve, Frog fan. Smoak, I feel for you today talking about Baylor, the loss as best you can all by yourself. You're a champ, my man. Hey, Merry Christmas. I'm enjoying this. I needed to cleanse this out of my system, too. I watched that last night. I went through it. Garrett,
yeah.
I mean, like that. It's time to get rid of it, right? Cleanse it. I put a message up on the board, SicEm365.com. I said, hey, we're going to go on for 3 hours with this. I knew JJ would be great, and he was. We had other guests as well. But I think people needed to you need to let this go. Like, this is therapy. I hope it is for you. I think maybe I'm cool now. I'm fine with it. I didn't play in the game. I didn't go to Baylor. We cover the hell out of them. Like, when you cover a team, you want to see them do well. But, oh, well. And so thank you, Steve Reed. I'm good. And then, I don't care what anyone from Baylor said. To lose and get pounded in TCU Stadium, there was frog colors everywhere. I mean, the purple people leaders were out in force, helping run that game. And Baylor got hammered on there. There was a girl, her name was, I think, Alyssa, who sent out a tweet. I wish I could find it on my timeline. And she said, I got to find it. It was a little bit edgy. I'm going to have to go find it. We'll try to put it up here in just a little bit. From the 254, thanks for the, let's see. Shame on Paul and Craig for leaving you out there by yourself for 3 hours, but glad you have. This is good. I can't wait till 6 only because, or whenever we end it, and move into a little bit of time off for a lot of us. Here's the 254. I think on the Shapen. I think it's a matter of his deficiencies being covered up by good wide receivers group last year, talking about Shapen. With very good backfield supplement in the offense. Lose those things, his shortcomings are greatly magnified like we saw this year. Hell, I would be a proponent of grabbing a couple of quarterbacks out of the transfer portal, letting them compete for the job. And you mentioned that. I really wish Kyron Drones would have hung around. I don't know if he would have won the job. I don't. I like Kyron and the family. I think he looks the part. Good-looking kid. Great-looking. He looks like he's one of those, if you were coming out of a stall on a horse, he's a good-looking kid. Body, numbered, all that. 15 is the perfect quarterback number, right? Well, maybe not. 12 could be, whatever number it is. But 15 Bart Starr?
Yeah, definitely Bart.
Not Unitas was 19. Rodgers is 12. Brady is 12. Montana was
16.
16.
And 19.
Aikman was 8. Jurgensen was 9. All right. John Elway.
7.
Was
Breeze? I think Breeze was 15
9.
at Purdue.
Maybe it was 15 at Purdue. It was 9, right? With the Saints. Thanks for the text from the 254. From Raymond in Waco. Rule number 1. Oh, never mind. I'm losing it. I'm old. Raymond, welcome to the family of losing it and also being old. Now, let's go to the chat room, Garrett. Are we allowed to do this with the chat room?
Let's do it. Why not?
Wet Blanket is an Oklahoma State fan. Wet Blanket, Merry Christmas to you. Ollie Gordon is a beast. He is. I saw online. It was an online game. Trinity was playing. I believe it might have been South Lake Carroll. And I think Ollie Gordon had 48 carries in the game. I can't remember. I believe that South Lake Carroll won the game, but Ollie Gordon was just beast mode in that game. Let's see here. All right, here we go. A working man. I want snow. I love snow. I've lived enough as a military brat. I experienced snow in Virginia. I know in Texas every once in a while it depends on where you are, but you get it a little bit of it. Lived in Japan, snowed. I was born in Nebraska, but I was so young I didn't remember it. And maybe that's a good thing. And I try not to remember their football program the last 6 or 7 years. And Matt Rule, please send me some Christmas gifts. All right, Paxton, just with the emoji of just frozen. Working man, we never get snow in Florida. Working man, I ain't seen snow here since 1990. Let's see here. All right, here we go. Oh, there's some of those bad sites. And now Cooper DeJour is losing everything. Just UCF. All right, let us see here. David is sweating right now talking about drones. No, I'm not like that sweating. I just like to see him do pretty well. Where are the temperatures? Jeff Ward, that long text about the two quarterbacks was mine. Probably should have said so in the text. Patrick, thank you very much for the nice compliment. What is the temperature, or what was the low temperature you experienced last night, wind chill? I thought we were going to get plenty of these. I struck out on this one, and maybe I just lost my way here. All right, here we go. Sir blah, blah, blah. It's now 9 degrees Fahrenheit, 12 degrees wind chilled in Toronto. Last night was actually seasonably warm. Metric conversions available upon request. Yeah, Toronto, it does get cold, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know, and there's also, Jeff Ward, WC. What is WC? It's 14. Oh, what? He's in China Spring. It's 14 degrees, which is what it is about right here where we are, not far from China Spring. Home of your back-to-back 4A state champions. Home of your back-to-back Class 4A Division II and then Class 4A Division I. And you're right, back-to-back. And special teams was huge in both those wins. Remember the blocked field goal for a touchdown last year that kind of set them on their way? And then, of course, the field goal that won it at the end of the game against Bernie. Let's see here. Houston, what happened with that one?
The last I saw, it was tied 16-16. I did not see
I think that is over now. Right. Houston won 23-16. That's a final. Toon had a really good game. He threw for 229 yards, ran for 55 yards. And you know what? I think that was 13-0 Louisiana at one particular point in that game. It was 13-0, but Houston scored with 20 seconds left. Clayton Toon to Nathaniel Dell, All-American, 12 yards for a touchdown on a 6-play, 92-yard drive to win it with 20 seconds left. Can we say that's a Big 12 win? No. But it's a team that's going to be in the Big 12 next year. Good for Dana Holgorsen. They finished the season at 8-5.
Did you see the sweaters Dana and the staff were wearing?
Yes.
Those were pretty cool.
Yes.
Got to give them that.
Yes. Provo was telling me it's 24-16. Houston, 23-16, I believe, was the final in that game. Let me see if there's. I need some more. I need some more temps here. I know this is really not sports, but when we get that kind of blast, like we did, was it January of 2021?
2020.
2020.
Yeah.
No. That would have been the COVID year.
It was the ice. I'm thinking of the ice storm.
The ice storm would have been 2021.
Okay.
And I mean, it was. I had fun. I went out driving, and it was great. My electricity was fine. My water never did.
Lucky.
Like, I'm dripping those faucets right now, believe me. And I got the heater up to about, I don't know, I think it's like 68 or 69, which is not really, it doesn't keep you too warm, but it keeps the house warm. No, that blast we got, that winter Arctic snow is ridiculous.
My sister-in-law lives in Montana, and my wife texted her yesterday to check on her, and she said they were doing good and they were overcoming the obstacles. But she said at the point in time, it was as cold where she's at in Montana as it was in Antarctica.
Woo.
And I'm like, that is ridiculous.
Yeah,
like, I couldn't even fathom that.
Yeah. All right, here's some more text. From Red Wine 65, Huskers fan, I think it's -8 in Omaha. Is that wind chill? That would be wind chill because it wouldn't be.
Gotta be.
Not going to be there. That's my hometown. I was born at Offutt Air Force Base in Omaha, Nebraska. From Bearcat Mick, low temperature in Cincinnati was -8 with a wind chill of -35.
Keep it.
Hey, don't bring any of that more. We don't need any more of that, Bearcat Mick. Patrick Cheney, 28 in Georgetown, which is just a little north of Austin. Wind chill of 20 today. Paula, last night it got down to 11, wind chill of -8. It was cold as hell. In Fort Worth, I think the lowest it got was -9, the wind chill. Walking away from the stadium to get to the car to drive home, it was numbing. It really was. And Craig had a little bit longer to walk for him to get back to Dallas to eventually enjoy the holidays in East Texas. Let's see here. -35 wind chill. Oof. Like, it was -9 last night, and I was numb. My face was numb.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of the things you worry about when it gets that cold is you get like those snot frost. You got to be careful with that. It's like you don't want a booger hanging out, and you damn sure that's like no. If you know there's a law. If somebody has that happen, tell them. like off to the side. Hey, but then when it's freezing and you just get them, you know, like it's not even like, it's just like things freeze all over your all over your nose. Red Wine 65, the 1976 blizzard had snow to the telephone pole lines. Damn. All right. 365 Sports, it was 7. Is this from you, Garrett? No, this must have been this might be Emory or Levi.
Probably Emory.
It was 7 last night, minus 11 wind chill. And Emory was right there. I mean, he was roughing it with us. Emory and Jack, okay, Paul, Craig, Jacob, me, we are all in the press box from like the start.
Right.
Now, we all had to get to there's a little walk, some a little bit longer than others. I just used my connections, and I parked like right behind the main part of the stadium with the press. I didn't have very long to walk. It was cold. Others had to walk a little bit farther, and they're still mad at me for that. But the game, the video on our site that will be from the field, Emory and Jack were out in it.
They killed it. I saw where I was speaking with Jacob last night as we were getting ready for the post-game show, and him and Paul were talking about how Emory had come up, and he was still like blistered.
No,
his face was chapped. And
Paul
everything.
had walked to the stadium prior to our show that started at 3 and with some of the equipment, right? And we were watching the Air Force Baylor game in the press box, mind you, and it was not bad. I mean, like if you got up right against the window, it was a little bit chilly. And the Air Force play-by-play guy in the next booth, he would open it up every once in a while because it sounds better because you got the open air. But damn, it was cold. Paul, this was deep into the game, was wearing gloves inside our booth, which was the national radio. I think it was the national radio booth, the observers booth for officials. And I was like, what are you wearing? He could never get his hands warm from before we started the show at 3. And it's like 9 o'clock at night. So I have hand warmers, which I try to put inside if I'm running outside. Yeah. You put them in your pockets of, let's say, your jogging pants, whatever, or hell, you put them wherever you can. I mean, anywhere. It feels better. Roger Dodger at 69 currently here where I am. Thank you, Roger. We hate you. Ryan Nelson, I'm in a mountain town in Colorado for Christmas. Colder in Metro Atlanta where I live is 13 degrees, feels like -2. Working man, the coldest temperatures I ever experienced was in Misawa, Japan. It had a -7 temperature. Yeah, it's and today I think it warmed up here to 20.
Yeah. I think the lowest I got last night was either headed out of here, it was -3.
Okay, yeah. Cooper de Jour, because this is your show, we will stop talking about the weather. If you'll stop tweeting or chatting just UCF, you stop that, we'll stop talking about the weather. But it's great to have you. We will appreciate that. And he's talking about next year's wins for teams in the new Big 12. We have one more comment from Dave Aranda. We'll get to that. You want to do that about recruiting?
Yeah.
We'll get to that. We might even play the other one we played earlier, a question I had for him, another one about this slide. Baylor's in a 4-game losing streak. Tough day Wednesday when they lost Novosad, the quarterback, to Oregon from Dripping Springs. We'll come back and put a bow on it as we head into Christmas Eve. This is 365 Sports. Pickup Outfitters, Jay Arrett, through tomorrow. This is through tomorrow. Pickup Outfitters is continuing the special that they have on a lot of what they have. When it comes to, they have accessories for pickup trucks. I'm trying to get this up. I want to make sure I get the prices correct here because Jay Arrett and Pickup Outfitters, and also thanks to Laura Beck, that did a great job. All right, here we go. Now, remember they had the 25th anniversary sale, which was phenomenal, all sorts of deals that they had available. This is through tomorrow until they close tomorrow. Free installation on all bed covers, purchased and installed at Pickup Outfitters. So let's say you can't get that done between now and Christmas on Sunday. You might not be able to get that done tomorrow. Who knows? Give them a call. Drop by 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco. What about printing out a certificate that somebody gets that in their stocking? $100 off any Ranch Hand, Frontier, or Weston grill guards. $50 off any toolbox. $100 off RKI, WeatherGuard heavy-duty toolboxes. WeatherTech or Husky floor liners, $40 off when you purchase a set. And ARE and Lear camper shells and DCU units are $200 off the price. Cannot be combined with any other offer, but man, you can go and have a great time with late Christmas gift shopping. Very unique. Pickup Outfitters, Jay Arrett, CreateACommotion.com, 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your home for holiday favorites for parties or time with the family, with various specials available while supplies last in store or ordering by phone, including 8 to 10 pound half spiral hams at $4.15 a pound, 12-pound pit hams at $4.35 a pound, 8 to 22 pound bone-in hams for $3.40 a pound, 14 to 16 pound whole raw turkeys at $2.85 a pound, and $4.80 a pound for 9 to 12 pound whole smoked turkeys, 6 to 8 pound mini pit hams for $5.99 a pound. Limit 4 of each item per customer. Call in advance to ensure availability or drop by Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco. Waco Custom Marketplace, your full-service butcher shop for customized orders or cuts of your favorite steaks or beef tenderloin or specially ordered prime rib roast. WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. The team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injuries, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
The secret to living your best life is pizza, obviously. Golden crust made from scratch, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and the toppings, crispy Old World pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, bacon. That's called a dream team. Find everything you need to live your best life and more at Marco's Pizza. Owner Bob Mock has been delivering pizza since 2001 and is the proud owner of 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to be open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street, right behind the bank, is a hidden gem in Waco. If you're a fan of bourbon, especially local Texas bourbons, that's where you gotta go. Balcones, TX, Devil's River, whatever it is, they've got it. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, plus the best selection of craft beers in Waco, seasonally churned out throughout the year, whether it's spring, summer, fall, or winter. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, best selection of craft beers, a speedy drive-through window, and excellent customer service. Find out more on Instagram or just go by and see them. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street behind the bank.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
All right.
Here's David Smoak.
$10. I owe $20
20 in the
now,
hole.
but they're not here, so they don't know I did that. All right, the Cooper de Jour, again, we stopped talking about the weather. Provo, David Smoak's top 5. Who are the next top 5 expansion candidates? There's a copyright infringement, and I remember one day when I might have been out, Paul and I might have been traveling, and there was a top 5 used by somebody that took his place. It wasn't Craig, and I was with Paul. It broke his heart. It pissed him off. So we're not doing a top 5, but I'll do this. Not as what he it's a great segment. He and then Craig's Off the Radar, both incredibly good segments. But Paxton asked me my top 5 best golf courses where I've ever played.
Ooh.
And again, we're not going to do graphics on this. And we have maybe breaking news on Chris Beard, or at least an update on the Chris Beard. So sure has been quiet in Austin. The number 1 course I have ever played, and I really haven't been, I've gone around a while and played a lot of places. The number 1 course I've ever played, I played Torrey Pines in San Diego, where they have played the U.S. Open, where they have a regular event, where Tiger won the U.S. Open with Rocco Mediate. Remember, an extra 18 holes. He had a broken, his bottom left part of his leg was broken. He had an Achilles, whatever, torn ACL, all of that. He won it. It was incredible. The big putt on 18 the day before that forced the extra 18 holes. So Torrey Pines, traditional and everything. Now, I've not been to Pine Valley. I haven't been to Pebble Beach. I've played in Vegas with some places. There's some gorgeous courses as well in Florida, in Myrtle Beach area. But I love Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. And if you've ever been up there, there's 8 golf courses. One of them is called Diamante, which is spectacular. But to me, the course that is the best, okay, so Torrey Pines won San Diego. Dallas National, which is phenomenal. Thanks to Dale Hansen, who's a television guy forever, a legend in Dallas, invited me to play there. Ponce de Leon is a phenomenal, one of many great courses in Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. I wish I could just name all of them there. I could name all the courses. I could know what hole by hole. I played them out there a lot. The Judge, maybe the hardest course I ever played. It's part of the Robert Trent Jones Trails in Montgomery, Alabama. There's courses in Mississippi, Alabama. Great. Robert Trent Jones courses are gorgeous. The Judge is maybe the hardest golf course I've ever played in my life. I think it's like 7,900 or 7,800 yards. The first hole, you're teeing off from way up on a hill near the clubhouse, down a huge drop-off, and there's like swamp on the left or trees on the left, and on the right there's a big, long pond. You're screwed if you don't hit the ball straight. And then it's not the number 1 course in Texas anymore, but forever and ever and ever it was. Crown Colony Country Club is also one that is elite. And I haven't been there in a long, long time, but that one, of course, is also great. In Texas, I've played the TPC San Antonio, which is an incredibly difficult golf course. I went up Pine Dunes in Frankston, which is just south of Palestine. Pine Dunes in Frankston is elite. It's in the middle of nowhere. You feel like you're going in the hills of Arkansas. Gorgeous, beautiful. Greens are immaculate. And of course, those are some of the other ones I've played that are just absolutely fantastic. All right. TJ, you're right. Paul, I mean, the top 5. Remember now, he almost threw down Garrett a couple of days ago. He was ready to cancel some people on the chat room. Gregory Krug, Off the Radar is great. I agree. Paxton, ever played Ramrock and Horseshoe Bay? No, but I have played in Horseshoe Bay. I don't even know. It may not have been. I don't think it was Ramrock. I don't think that one at time. Now, Jim Fortuno, who writes for the Associated Press, this is on his Twitter feed. Breaking. Woman who called 911 to report family violence assault by Texas coach Chris Beard now says he did not strangle her and she never intended for him to be arrested or prosecuted. And that is the story now on AP. This was kind of what you thought would be the next move. The problem now is anytime there's domestic violence, someone's got to go downtown. Mm-hmm. Someone's going downtown. And remember, there's a police report. Okay, if she lied on and I'm just saying, I don't think she did, but there are pictures And if the pictures have enough evidence of any kind of violence or assault, whatever it might, bumps, bruises, scratches, whatever. And by the way, Chris Beard, she ripped off his glasses or whatever. She can say whatever she wants now. She can backtrack now, and everyone's going to say this. She got scared, and now she realizes she's just ended the money train, right? Mm-hmm. Or she really just loves him, and and that's also what happens with family violence. I'm not an expert on this, but if, that's why you have battered women, battered spouses, because they get scared, and then they love that person. And in this case, I'll let you make your own mind up on it, but it's been quiet. And as Craig was saying, I guess Wednesday with he and Paul, man, that's shut down quickly for a media area that loves to talk about everybody else's problems. That thing got quiet over the last couple of weeks. So there we are with that. Let me see here. From Paxton, as a UT fan, don't believe it. To everyone here, remember the reason for the season. Have a Merry Christmas from TJ, exactly. From Provo Cougar fan, Spyglass, oh my God, in Monterey, California. Bayonet, Fort Ord, in Grand Island, Philippines. Red Wine 65, a lot of times you have to wait for the job Friday facts to surface. So TJ Scott, we're going to, I know you've been kind of popping on this. TJ, we have a life too. We're going to do some shows Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday that will have timing. It will make sense with what we run, like TCU and some of the interviews we've had with them as they head towards the college football semifinals. I don't think you're edgy about this, but we have lives too. And we've been running and gunning really since April 6th of 2020. Our guys need a little break. I need a break. Garrett needs a break. We're here for you today. We will be with shows next week, and hope that doesn't take you somewhere else. And if it does, then you weren't a fan of what we did in the first place. So hopefully, there's going to be some replay shows. But timing makes sense of what we're talking about when it comes to that. So there we are with that. I think we all try to tell you this. For Emery and Jack and Jacob and Levi and Garrett, Brian, Colt, Ashley, Paul, and Craig. And I think that's mostly what's involved when it comes to the show. Grayson, among others, all of our guest segments as well. We love this show. We love what we do. We love you as our family of 365 Sports. We are going to take a little bit of time. We will be here in plenty of time to discuss the college football semifinals. But yeah, we all need to decompress a little bit. And if you watched the Baylor game and you were in Fort Worth, you should get a month off if you were there, as far as in attendance at that game, as far as especially outside. So there's the story, the Chris Beard update. We'll see what happens there. So thank you, everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. No, we'll say that to you next week. We will be back on. For Garrett Ross and for Paul and Craig, I'm David Smoak. Our sponsors, thank you. I thank you. Good night. Have a great weekend. Merry Christmas, 365 Sports.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering